we can still talk about like other games to play on the channel, like, you know, that kind of thing. But just wanted to get a game going so that we're not sitting here for like the first full hour waffling over game ideas and then not actually playing something. But
Thank you Ceresi_the_mage for gifting a sub to PH Flack.
Thank you, Cerise the Mage, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Flack. Flack, you now have yourself some nice advertisement-free viewing, as well as access to the emotes, whether you wanted them or not, so thank you so much for that continued support. It does mean a whole heck of a lot. To catch up where we left off with this run, this isn't like some big challenge run. We're not dealing with like the 100% pollution or, you know, whatever nonsense I normally have going on with my runs. I like to do lots of challenge runs, usually environmental challenges more than anything, where I put all sorts of terrible constraints on myself to make that the thing that makes it hard. But in this particular case, what we're doing instead is, I'm just smelling out this wall, is we're just kind of leaning in to see how ridiculous we can get with the books that were added in 1.5. I think it was, no, it was a 1.6. It was 1.6 for RimWorld, 1.5 for Stardew Valley. It's one or the other. It doesn't matter. The new version. But that said, and we have been doing that, well, it is slow to get books because you can only get them as like quest rewards and that kind of, and trade stuff. You can't like just make them or whatever, which I think is a good choice balance-wise. But it does mean the library do grow slow. In the meantime, though, we have been going and doing sorts of stuff. We've captured a vampire, and definitely nothing unethical happened here. Don't worry about it. Just ignore the fact that they're missing their legs. We're pulling a reverse Uno card on the normal vampire gameplay and shoving them into the gene machine again and again to get, you know, fancy tech out of them. Again, don't worry about it. It's fine. But in the meantime, we've been continuing to expand our base and all that stuff. We did suffer a loss last stream of Bongspill died. Got one tapped in the neck, despite having like marine armor and a flak helmet and having really high melee skill and all that. Had a Neanderthal with melee skill, and a club just went whack and dropped him in one hit from full health. I was pretty upset about it. Mostly because it's one of those things, like, when you have the straight-up RNG where it's like you're wearing your marine helmet and the game just rolls a dice and says, they died, you're like, okay, but game, really, what was my counterplay? But there's that. That said, for those who are tuning in on YouTube and TikTok who missed the intro, we had actually planned on playing Sons of Valhalla today, which is similar to the what are the name of the games? Kingdom games. It's similar to the Kingdom games, but they have like the combat is more meaningful, so you like actually have like a shield you can raise and move, and you do like parrying attacks and all that while doing the stuff where you build your stuff. But I ran into the problem where the mouse cursor didn't show up. I need to go through and just after stream today, I'm going to just completely clean, uninstall my video card drivers and reinstall them and see if that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, I would say I'd rip out my hair, but now it's not quite long enough for me to get a good grip onto, so, you know, I guess the hair stays. But it is one of those things that, like, I didn't change anything on my end. RimWorld had an update, so at first I thought it was just RimWorld, and then when I reverted the update on RimWorld just to test, and it didn't fix it, it's like, okay, it's not just the update. You know, maybe it's RimWorld as a whole, but now it's affecting a second game. But even before I got to the second game, it's like, okay, it's probably not RimWorld's update. It's probably a video driver. And this is just far confirmation that it's probably a video driver. But with that said, we're probably going to be talking about different games to check. You know, we'd like to see played on the channel. And maybe one of those happens in there. It would be good to get some things. I know I get a lot of suggestions in the game suggestion channel, and sometimes I get back to it. One of the things I am running into right now that's becoming more and more of kind of an issue on Twitch is I am running into the issue that very genuinely it's becoming more and more a situation on the platform that when a new game comes out, you've got what feels like 30 seconds to try it out on the platform before it dies on the platform. And to be clear, that doesn't mean I can't play them. It just means I can play one of those for a little bit, and then I have to, you know, go back over to something that's more strategic. And And that's where I've been struggling right now, is what even is strategic right now. Because I've been kind of in a pattern of Kenshi and RimWorld almost all the time, because those have been like my safe games lately. But in the past when I played Kenshi, it usually does really well, and then it kind of goes like this really hard. This time it's kind of slowly burning down, but I am starting to see like the viewership properly starting to decline on Kenshi on this channel, not on Twitch, but on this channel, that we're ending up with like 5, 10 fewer viewers the last 2 or 3 streams, like respectively, one after the other. Even though like then I switch categories and the viewership goes right back up. And that's usually a pretty strong indicator that, you know, the game, I've been overplaying the game a little bit on the channel. That's only going to be mostly the diehard Kenshi fans. They'll be sticking around for that, and the people who are looking for, you know, a little bit more not Kenshi are, you know, starting to get a little antsy with the same old all the time. We did ultimately decide to become tunnelers, so we are slowly converting our food over to mushrooms. And I got all excited, I'm like, I'm gonna make my areas for my mushrooms over here. And we have not mountain roof over here, which means I can't put mushrooms there. And there's another one there. So I'm a little worried we're gonna get down here and there's gonna be like a big opening down here. And I'm really hoping that won't be the case, because that'll really complicate our situation. Like, especially if it's something like this. Because that would make all of this space basically unusable. I'd need to tunnel a path through here so they go into the rest of this area. But, we'll see what we've got back there. I'm still going to expand there, and if it ends up being really bad, I can potentially move it down here. If it's still really bad, I can potentially move it... That's not what we want to do. Over here-ish. We'll figure it out. It just sucks because once you mine it out, you can't put it back. So, there's that. But as far as other games to play on the channel, so the issue I've been kind of running into is we've had some new games that have come out that I have debated. So, like, if I pull up keys I've gotten, just pulling up a couple websites. You can't see it, but I'm just gonna mention them. Yeah, so if I look at the keys I have received, I've got the oh, that's so weird. Okay, it just showed it was redeemed. Okay, I was like, one of the games disappeared off my list since I checked like 5-10 minutes ago. I was like, wait a second, where'd you go? Like, I've got a key for Lightyear Frontier that I can redeem anytime. That's a survival crafter. Oh, She-Wolf's an adult now. Let's do this. Okay, Quick Sleeper is really nice. Kind is really nice. Steadfast is really nice. These are all really a hard call. I think I'm gonna go with Quick Sleeper on you. Meanwhile, we have you as a crafter, so let's keep that pattern going. And I will also allow you to chip in on construction. So let's go ahead and get those adjusted for She-Wolf now that they're an adult. And I think that's what we'll do. They can do construction, but it's not as high a priority. Cool. And with that, let's go to your schedule. Because now that you're an adult, you get to have less fun. Congratulations. That's right, you didn't want fun. Fun's just not acceptable. But yeah, so I got a key for Lightyear Frontier, which is a, it's a survival crafter, but it's based around being in this giant mech. And it looks pretty cool. I have been warned it's a little shallow in content, that you can kind of finish what's there pretty quick. I also have no idea how it's doing on Twitch right now. I imagine... that feels like the kind of game with where it's at in its early access, that there's a very, very good chance it's already had like its viewerships dropped off. I mean, 106 isn't super terrible. That's not that bad. But that's what I could check out. I had a couple keys that I haven't looked into, like United Penguin Kingdom, Viva Land Dream House, which is like just making house like Sims-esque. I didn't request them, they just kind of offered them that I debated. I've got a bunch like Between Horizons, Growth Thief Simulator, Infection Free Zone, House. Well, I mean, I have House Flipper too. I got a bunch of keys in here, but a lot of them it's like I requested the key before I saw the game, and then after I saw the game or like saw someone else play the game, it's like, you know what, never mind. Because that does happen a lot. All right, Kalaria's Star is no longer an infant; they became a child. So congratulations, Kalaria's Star. Per the normal rate of passage, there's your firearm. We're gonna have a lot of kids start growing up regularly now. And meanwhile, we need to go to you and all that and put you on safe. As the counterweight says, lately you've been blind playing Voices into the Void. It's very alpha, but it's sci-fi nerdy. You're basically a hermit that listens to the stars and mails tapes to your boss. However, as the days go on, stuff starts to get a bit off. Gotcha. Yeah, so that sounds like a really good game I'd probably enjoy, but also not necessarily a game that aligns with the type of content I play on the channel, which in no way means bad at all. That's just a thing that happens is because of the nature of the audience I've been fostering over the years, that is something we'll run into is just there'll be games that don't go super well. Alright, so you are just a baseliner. Okay, so what does She-Wolf do here? So She-Wolf is primarily a crafter. So let's go and do some gene science. So we're going to make you poor at cooking and at social. And we will make you very fast. Psychically dull works. Robust isn't... Oh yeah, robust does decrease that. We'll give you the elongated fingers. That's a positive we want. Oh, I don't have enough negatives. Mild UV sensitivity, so we're even now. And I think that's where I stay, because I have the only other thing there. Because what I have to do is, you notice these numbers on the bottom here. Metabolic efficiency is if I take positives, they start to need to eat more food more often. If I take negatives, they eat less food less often. And you can have like pretty big extremes between like 50% consumption, like 200%. And then complexity is basically how many things I can put up here before it says no. So we have evened it out, but the issue is the only other negative I have here is crafting, which is what this character does. So we are going to go ahead and make that gene for She-Wolf. And are you a baseliner? No, you already have genetic alteration stuff going on. But yeah. Now there's so like the types of games I've noticed I have established an audience for on the channel is simulation games. I do have an established audience that a lot of people enjoy me playing, like Snow Runner and American Truck Simulator and Farming Simulator. So like proper simulation type games is one thing. Like the Settlement Builder, City Builder, those kind of games. I mean, here, Kenji weirdly sort of kind of ish falls into that, but also not. But there's a lot of overlap that can kind of explain a bunch of that. Okay, so this is going to She-Wolf. So as one of your first orders of business, She-Wolf, as an adult, is we are going to immediately genetically modify you. Congratulations. But, so it is one of those things that, like, I definitely have an existing audience around, like, the Settlement Builder, City Builder, Tycoon, whatever you want to go, those style of games. So that's another well-established audience I have within the community. And then for a while, it seemed like I had survival games going on there, but I've kind of recognized over the time that it seems like that's mostly just Project Zomboid. Most of the other survival games I've played, like, I don't get nearly as many people who seem to be interested in watching me play those. And when I do polls, they rarely win, that kind of stuff. So maybe not survival as, like, a general thing. But there's also a lot of overlap in the survival genre and, like, Settlement City Builder. Like, for example, Medieval Dynasty. I would call that a survival game, but it does have some city building aspects. you play a game like Valheim or Enshrouded, you do base building, and it seems to do alright. And like the Long Dark did pretty good, but the times I played survival since then, not the best. Which again isn't saying like, oh, never play these games again, but it's just trying to figure out the types of games that tend to do good for the channel, fitting my existing audience. So it's simulation, settlement builder, city builder. You missed you playing The Long Dark? You love the game? Yeah, we played it. We haven't gotten back since they believe they added... I can't remember if they actually did finally add the last chapter, but we played the last update that majorly added the story. How did you enjoy it? I enjoyed it. The survival mode I wasn't quite as big into. Like, it was fun, but it didn't really keep me as much. The Long Dark feels like the kind of game I'd play through the entire story and be like, I'm done. It just felt like the survival mode, to me, got really repetitive really fast. Like, you got your survival loop, and it got established pretty quick. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me playing, hundreds of hours or whatever... Almost there. But, like, I really did enjoy the game a lot. But for me, it's, I'm in that situation now because it's been so long since I played. It's like, okay, do I go back and start from scratch? Because I don't actually think I'm interested in replaying the story, but I also don't remember so much of the story that jumping into, like, the latest update, story-wise, I'm probably not going to remember what the heck is going on. So I'm in that early access pain of when you start a game and then you have to step away from it for like a year and then go, what was I doing? And then do I play it all over again or do I not play it all over again? And it could be that I do. I'm not against it. It's just I'm kind of waffling on it. I definitely don't want to do it right now because I know it'll take me longer than we have before like the big RimWorld update and all that, and I don't think I want to get into it at the moment. But I could see that being something that happens eventually. Oh, you've got a bunch of things here. Smoke clear for the resistance, unhappy, tox immune, berserk. Those are side trainers. So I probably do want to start trying to get the Archite capsules. We're gonna need those. I don't care about tox immune, unhappy. Low sleep is nice, but I think I already have it. And then these other ones don't really matter. I do want the books, because we are trying to get all of the books we can. The Architect arm is always a good time, but also same deal. I do want the Glitter World as well. We're going to have to give up something for them. And I had to be careful about giving up too much of the Psi Tea. I'm not going to be able to get all this stuff. I'm flying too close to the sun on the price here. I can give up 2 of those, but I'm not quite... We'll just get slightly less Glitter World. Okay. So haul this home. Basically get all the things home. But it's good to get a bunch of Glitter World and those. Because we'll need these to get, like, the really powerful Xenotype stuff that we're going to get from the vampire. To make the gene thing like I gave She-Wolf a moment ago. If I include those archetype ones, then that's a thing I have to include. Yeah, no, Long Dark was a good time. I enjoy it. I've credited the Long Dark as when it comes to, like, when you're playing survival games that, like, the actual survival mechanics are, like, the key core component of the game, that for environmental survival, I feel like the Long Dark does it better than anyone else. Because when I compare it against games like Green Hell and all those, Green Hell, a lot of it feels very, very tedious and chore that they make you do stuff just because. Whereas it felt like the Long Dark, they actually did have you balance, like, hey, you can go hunt that rabbit. It's not going to give you a whole lot of calories, though, so it's not that it's at a loss, but it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. And then like the animals are actually kind of scary because they do kind of stalk you and all that versus just beeline to you when they see you immediately. So I felt like it did a much better job. But so I'm kind of this way on the survival side where I really don't know how much of the viewership cares for, because I do know I have a lot of people who don't like survival style games like that kind, like the Green Hell, the Long Dark, Sons of the Forest. I have a bunch who do and don't like those. So it does seem to be like a pretty split part of the audience that, you know, I don't know which side is bigger, you know, whether one side's just like a vocal minority or what the deal is there, because I can't quantify these things because data collection is dang near impossible. Oh, I have like no money. Let's see here. Seeing if any of these are ones we want to get rid of. I don't think so. Get rid of that. I've got to... Why did you have to have more books? Oh yeah, so where people earlier said that you can only get the earlier stuff from books, we have structural engineering for starships, which is literally the last tier of tech. So yeah, you can... If the book exists, you could get it. Does the viewership go down during those games? Oh, like the, generally they have not performed, the survival games have generally not performed as well as, a lot of other games I have played on the channel. Alright, so I'm gonna have to give up something for that. I should not do that. Oh, they want the Huskies. That'll work. Take some Huskies. Take some Huskies. You saw nothing. You have no evidence of what just happened there. Look, I'm practically requiring myself to get every book we can, and sacrifices had to be made. It's not my fault. I had to get the books. Besides, those poor Huskies deserve a better home than I can provide them. They have lost almost all of their limbs here. They definitely don't want to be here anymore. And on that note, pretty much all of them have lost their bonded owners at this point. I think only one person still had any kind of connection with the dogs. But yeah, no, generally what ends up happening is most games that when I play them on this channel, we will take a dip in viewership on the short term. And then if the game ends up actually being something that people kind of hold a continued interest in, then it does pretty well. But there is a lot of times that we'll try out a game, the viewership just won't be there. And all that means is what'll end up happening is after a stream or two, if the viewership continues to stay low on that game, we just move on to the next game. So it is one of those things that, as viewers, you very much do vote on what games I play on the channel by if you show up to watch them. Because obviously, if you don't show up to watch them, I can't keep playing them because that's just not how any of this works. And Draconic Dork on a 50 stream streak. 5-0. That's a hecking lot of streams you've caught. I really do appreciate the continued support and viewership and all that in that watching. I hope you enjoy your extra 450 points. So thanks so much for that continued tuning in and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, let's go to you and your titles. Go to the max title for the bedroom. So you need drapes. You basically just need drapes and that the floor will have to be a fine floor. So we can go here. Masterwork end table, good for you. And another masterwork table. But yeah. So it's been a thing to figure out. Like that's been kind of the issue is We used to have, it was usually on Thursdays, but sometimes it was usually on Fridays, but sometimes they'd get bumped to other days. We used to have like what we referred to as our variety days. That the gist of the variety days was that I would line up probably like 2, 3, 4, 5 keys for just different games. That we just ignored the viewership and that kind of thing on the like on Twitch. Like we didn't care if it had zero viewers in the category and to play on the channel. But I'm not even joking. Like I don't think I still have the data available. I think there's there's a thread I have on the Discord that you would watch like the week's viewership and it'd go like this, and then you'd have the day that was the variety day and it would go straight down and then like cut across like a half viewership and then come right back up the next day. And it didn't matter if I changed the hours of the day of the week or even like what games we played. It was just every time. It was just boom, down, up. And it's not that I'm like, you know, against playing stuff that is just not going to have the numbers. But it was just kind of one of those things that it was like such rough numbers that I was like, okay, I just really can't keep doing that. Like it was just, this is like killing the channel. I could not keep going. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. So it was just one of those things that I kind of wish I could do more of it. Variety is hard to grow. Well, variety is hard to grow, yes. But there's on top of just the variety is hard to grow, there's also doing a much broader type of variety just kind of compounds the issue. No, I don't think we need to shout that. And Cookie got through that without even getting injured. But yeah, it's more than just variety is hard to grow. It is here. Get one of you to hunt that real fast. So it stays dead. Okay, and just like, oh. I need to destroy all those nests. Cool. And sorted. But yeah, so it is one of those things, though. There's like, variety can be hard to grow. Yes, this is true. But if you are playing games that are kind of out in the fringes, then that's like an even more extreme example of the issue. Because then when it comes to the organic ways to grow on Twitch, none of them are working for you. And to give you an idea what I mean by that, which way would it? Let's do this like that. Like none of those things are working for you. So stuff like the games page, if you're going to a games page, if no one's searching for that game, you're not going to find an audience because no one's searching for it. Stuff like raids and all that, raids very heavily lean towards being in similar categories to our people. Not exclusively, but generally speaking, most people, when you raid out, will raid out into the same category or very similar categories. Because, obviously, if my viewers are enjoying RimWorld, I'm going to go raid someone else playing RimWorld. Because then I know I'm getting them to content they want to see. And so that's, like, another thing you deal with on that. And that can be, like, or similar, like, you know, if I'm playing Timberborn, I can raid into another city builder, and that's probably close enough in content that people would enjoy. But if you're playing something like way out in left field that has like no viewership on the platform, it means you're unlikely to receive any raids and that kind of stuff. So it is one of those things that you can kind of only go on the fringes so much. It doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means you have to be like, okay, like here's like, it's almost like when people diet and they have like their cheat day. It's kind of like doing a thing like that where you're like, okay, I can take this 1 or 2 days over here in left field and play this game I'm interested in that I know strategically makes no sense. And that can be fun to do. But it is definitely one of those things that you'll find if you go over there too much, you just kind of watch your viewership plummet. Because no matter what you do, you play the same game, there's a certain amount of churn you're going to run into. And if you change games, you're going to have a certain amount of churn you're going to run into. that people's schedules change, their situations change. There's going to be people who don't tune in as their situation changes. And it means you have to constantly be considerate about drawing more people in however you can to, you know, offset the number of people who leave. Otherwise, you're just going to have a channel that's infinitely shrinking. Which is honestly a lot of the people who they make partner and then their channels kind of fade away after that. It's usually they'll do whatever, like they'll make strategic decisions when they're doing their partner push, being like, hey, here's the game that's going well on my channel. I'm just going to keep going for this and keep pushing my numbers up, and then they get that growth. And then they become partner and they're like, cool, now I can play the games I want, and then they do, but they're not strategic decisions. Oh, here I can get the queue started. But they're not really that good at strategic decisions. And you know, it's just like slowly their channel fades. And that happens a lot. And usually what happens is it's not that they're like their channel fades to a point that you're used to seeing 75, 80, 90 people, and it gets down to like 30s or so, and then they throw their hands in the air and say never mind, because like it's demoralizing. Like it's incredibly demoralizing. And honestly, even when you're doing your partner push, it's actually already a thing that when you hit partner, like while you're pushing, you usually get a boost in your viewership from people wanting to see you hit partner. And then you hit partner, and a bunch of people, they're no longer helping with the push because it's done. And then, you know, they'll go off and do other things. So you actually do hit partner, and you actually take a little dip in your viewership right after. Or, you know, people who just want to root there and help, you know, someone who's doing a big push. Which is fine. No judgment about it. But it is the many pressures as a creator you run into about, you know, people say like, oh, don't worry about growth, don't worry about numbers. And you're like, cool, if it's my hobby, that's fine. But the moment it starts becoming your income, then you really just don't get that choice. Finally, we've got Chibi converted. As Saber says, you watch a streamer that usually has 1,000 people playing Dead by Daylight after years. He decided to stop playing in a couple years now. They're at 300 people. Yeah, especially if you're like a one trick pony, a one game channel. That's the real danger of a one game channel, is if you switch because you burn out or bored or whatever, you just hemorrhage a huge number of viewers. You're gonna have the viewers who just enjoy your content for its content, and they'll usually typically stick around. But it is one of those things. But the other thing that happens is sometimes you don't even get tired of the game. Like, the viewership for the game itself implodes. And usually the two games I usually will hold out for that example is Kerbal Space Program and Cities Skylines. That in both cases, their sequel came out, their sequel did not get well received. And as a result, it didn't just make the sequels category perform terribly, but by the fact that there's a sequel that's kind of worse than the original, it splits what existing audience there was there, and kind of kills the viewership on both of them. And, you know, it really sucks if you were in those categories and you built your channel around it. It's one of the things where, like, when a game gets a sequel, it can be really scary, because on one end, that should drive a huge amount of viewership to the category, which would be nothing but good news for you if you're streaming in that category. But then, if it's a big flop, it could very quickly just kill any interest in that category itself. So I know personally there was a friend of the channel that their main game was City Skylines, the original, that they would do like these big like engineering, like aligned with how things worked in real life. So they would start out with like a city, and they would lay it out like the way it might be in like 1900, and then as time goes on, they would like start moving stuff around and building stuff up, similar to like what happened as you went to like the 20s into the 30s into the 40s, and, you know, effectively tell a story with it. And it was amazing stuff. And I said Skylines 2 came out, they're all hyped and excited, and it did not great. And they tried to go back to doing their old content, and they had less than half their viewership, and every other stream it was just going straight down, and they quit streaming entirely. Because, like, basically, they were going to have to rebuild from not scratch, but from pretty close to it. Because it was just one of those things, with how that launch went, it just obliterated any interest in the game for the time being. You know, and when you've been pulling hundreds of viewers for like years and suddenly you're down to like 30 viewers, 40 viewers, that level of demoralizing is one of those things that you really just can't, most people can't push past. And understandably so. Like, especially as a full-time creator, just accepting that you went from probably, you know, scraping by to you're just completely in the red. So you're effectively working and not able to pay your bills is rough. All right, so get a biotech arm, or bionic arm and leg. We'll probably get those dealt with. Hey, Jaywark, how's it going? And then the DLC comes out and you get like 3 or 4 times the numbers. And then the DLC comes out and you get 3 or 4 times the numbers. Yeah, that can happen. I haven't seen how City Skylines is doing. I know they announced their DLC, and the reviews that I had seen were very, very mixed. The City Skylines 2, Sully Gnome, English only. So to give you an idea how City Skylines 2 is doing nowadays, it is up 35%. 35% it is up over the last 30 days to a whopping 58 viewers. Average. So that gives you an idea on how it's doing. But that's one of the things where it's saying it's dangerous to be in just one category. Yeah, and then like and then City Skylines the original is up 110% for the last 30 days at 90 viewers average. Oh wait, did I Oh, wait, hang on. I didn't filter by English. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. When I filter by English, it's down 25% at 20 average viewers. So between both City Skylines 1 and 2, between the both of them, they collectively have about 70 average viewers for English streamers. And that's what I'm saying is, the individual I was talking about was pulling in the ballpark of like 180, 190, 200 average viewers every single stream consistently and reliably in the City Skylines 1 category. And now the entire category, like combined, isn't pulling half their viewership. And that's just a thing that happens. So it is a risky prospect to have your entire channel based around one game. Hey, and Alyssa's gonna have another baby. All of the babies. That's fine. But yeah, and that's just one of those things. And it happens to big games too. That you'll have a game that was like huge that either a competing game comes out and just knocks it off, or like the devs behind it suddenly decide to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna add these new microtransactions, and just kills all goodwill for the game. So you're wondering when we'll hear something about Dragon Age Dreadwolf? I have no idea. Okay, so they're all ranged people up here. And there's a second group over here. So it's all ranged. And a third group that's all ranged. We're going to go schedule. We're going to assign everyone to stay in the safe zone. And then when they go to attack, we'll get everyone to the kill box to hold the ground. It's quite a few enemies, but they are split up in different groups. So if we're lucky, them being split up into so many different groups. Interestingly enough, it's like 2/3 the rate is there. And we just got a couple stragglers over here. But if we're lucky, it'll split them up enough that we won't be fighting them all in one giant chunk. But yeah. Yeah, no, Dragon Age, I played the original. I do know a lot of people were asking me about Dragon's Dogma 2 when it came out, and I just never played the original one. Like, no positive, negative, or whatever about it. So I wasn't kind of bought in as a lot of people was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. And so I was it's like, yeah, it's, you know, whatever, it's like wait and see. And then like it's not it's not had the greatest reception, to understate things a lot. Which we don't need to dig into all of that. They just did some things in microtransactions that had a lot of people head scratching that feels not great, is the way I will phrase it. It feels not good. All right. But with all that, like, you know, I didn't get into it. And honestly, when it comes like the AAA games these days, for the most part I just don't touch them. Origins was amazing. Yeah, I think it was Dragon's Age Origins that I played. Like, I remember having a really good time with that one. I haven't played many of those. I do find with the content I've done on the channel, very specifically, I've had not good results with story-driven games, because it is one of those things with story-driven games that you kind of have to get through them fast, unless that's just what you do. Because otherwise what happens is people see the first stream, they enjoy it. They see the second stream, they enjoy it. They miss the third stream, and then they try and come back the fourth stream, and they have no idea what's going on, so they don't stick around. So it's kind of like you get like the peak viewership right at the beginning, and it very quickly declines as people, you know, lose track of the story or whatever. And then you also have a lot of the story-driven games. You'll have people who do choose to, you know, not watch them to avoid spoilers if they're really interested in it. Like I said, if you're a channel that does focus on, like, story-driven games or lore or whatever else, those work fine. It's not you can't do story-driven games. But, myself and a bunch of the other creators in kind of the simulation area and the settlement builders and all that, I've kind of all noticed, unless the story is really fast get in, get out kind of thing, it's really hard to do a story-driven game. Like, there's exceptions. Like, there's stuff like Subnautica that kind of works, because yes, there's a story, but the simulation side of it holds up on its own. But I would say for those grand adventure RPGs, that the story is, like, one of the primary draws to the game. Cool, and that's everyone? Nicely done. Or, like, for example, Hard Space Shipbreaker is very story-driven, but, like, the game mechanics are entertaining enough within themselves. Which is the biggest reason you couldn't watch people play. Oh, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, Baldur's Gate 3, I know a lot of people who, they enjoy it, but, like, they miss one or two streams. They're like, I have no idea what's happening. I still tuned into a bunch of people who are playing Baldur's Gate 3 that, you know, I enjoy their content, but it's like, it was one of those things I just wasn't even paying attention to the game at all because I had no idea what was going on. Hey, Lardine, how's it going? But, so I've noticed that story-driven games have generally not done well on the channel either. Slice of Life, that's another one I should say. Slice of Life games have done really well on the channel. Like, today, on Coral Island, had one of the highest viewership... Oh, hi. I didn't even realize you're doing this.
I'm good at things.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Tim brought me food. Because we talked about maybe doing food like later because we had a pretty big lunch, but it was earlier than we normally eat. So it was like, do we do something for dinner? And it's like left or right on that. And so we talked about we had a charcuterie in the fridge that we need to eat pretty soon if we didn't want to lose it. And that's the. But there's a very real chance you have 2 11-hour shifts next week. Ow. But yeah, Slice of Life / Life Sim games have done really well. That to date, Coral Island was one of the games that consistently performed really well. And on YouTube side, it's like one of my best performing games, period. Like Twitch it did really well. Like it wasn't, so like RimWorld has probably been the game that, even though it kind of ebbs and flows as well, it's still, even when it's kind of ebbing, mostly does well. And then when it's like things are really good, it's really good. Like it doesn't spike as down or as up very much. It just kind of very slowly like meanders up and down. Project Zomboid has, like, it started out just kind of ramping up really well, and then it kind of started ramping down. And nowadays it's very spiky, where you either have like a really good stream or a really kind of crap stream with it. I had my statistics pulled up earlier because I was trying to like I like to use data to try and drive my decisions. It's one of the reasons why going into a new category can be scary, is you have no data to work with for your own audience. So you have to kind of go as a larger scale, which, you know, everyone's audience is different, so it's hard to quantify that or make it meaningful information. Yeah, let's make that so it's at least 2 streams. But yeah, so like viewership, for example, to give you an example, viewership, when I checked this yesterday, I had Kenshi was in first place for average viewership and average followers per hour. It has dropped down to 5th place for average viewership, and 7th place for followers per hour kind of thing. So like the two metrics I care about, it's been kind of going down, and it's not like it's suddenly everyone's not interested. It's just like slowly creeping down. Hey Bentley, how's it going? Which is one of the reasons I like know I really need to not, like, I've been putting way too much. Like, to give you an idea how much Kenshi I played, I've played 162 hours of Kenshi over the last 2 months. It is the single most played game on the channel for the last 2 months. It is almost the next 2 highest played games combined. So, it is one of those ones I'm like, no, I'm playing too much Kenshi. Because I ran into a problem where once upon a time my channel became like centered around one game, even though I was doing variety, as everything was Project Zomboid. But yeah. So it's just one of those things that's like, okay, I need to like be figuring the next thing out. Not that Kenshi has to go away right now or whatever. But I am getting all like the little warning flags that, okay, like we're gonna start seeing the viewership wane on that. I gotta be ready to like make the next thing happen. Right now, the most viewed game, the highest viewership game on the channel is right now, RimWorld is the one doing the best, on average viewership. And then, surprisingly, the most followers per hour is Farming Simulator 22, and Expedition's a Mud Runner game. That said, Expedition Mud Runners, I mean, honestly, I should probably give that one another go. It didn't do that bad. I mean, almost all the people I know who played it ended up being a little underwhelmed by it in the long run. So that one's on the fence. Stardew Valley did really well. That's second highest viewership, second highest followers per hour. The only reason we didn't continue that is I had like a really nice I've finished kind of thing, and I didn't see a reason to do like another run. But the issue with the way I'm approaching this kind of thing is it only tells the story of the games I've already played, like recently. I could go back. You know what? What does it look like if I go back even farther? What happens if we go back a lot of time? See how it compares. Shoot Frenzy, don't care. Okay, so only games I have streamed for at least 2 streams to get like the one-offs out of there for the last half year. And if I go by that, so I've got an outlier here, SteamWorld Build, that I did 1 stream of and it performed extremely well, but then that's one that fell off instantly on the platform. Stardew Valley is still up there, Expedition Mud Runner's up there, Kenshi would be down there, then RimWorld ends up way down below because there was a point it was like massively, like the viewership was really declining until the DLC got announced. Timberborn did really well. Medieval Dynasty did okay. Actually, yeah, Coral Island did pretty alright. That's kind of one of the things. Project Zomboid did well, but it's one of those things that we have, like, rare outliers in the Project Zomboid one. It's always tricky. Plus, I'm honestly burnt out on Project Zomboid. Like, I know I have not been on the server as much as I should have. I did do 2 streams that we did on the server. And then every once in a while, I would hop on for an hour or 2 in the evenings, and I haven't been on in a good almost week now. And it's one of those things that I played for just a little bit, and just almost instantly the burnout started coming back. But that's not surprising, because I put in the course of 2 years, 3,500 plus hours in that game. Okay, so let's start looking at people who... Is there anyone with scratched or missing eyes? I don't believe so. Alright, Sentient Cookie. Let's look at trying to get a brand new left arm for you. And we got a couple of good doctors. I'm going to start deprioritizing these doctors that are only okay. In favor of our ones that have passion in it. So hopefully we can get that going on. Gonna check your Medieval Dynasties videos. Didn't know you streamed it. Did you enjoy it? Yeah, no, I streamed it for 5, 6, 7, 8 streams. I don't remember how many. I did stream it for a good while. The big thing I ran into is it started to feel like I was just getting in a pattern. Where it's just kind of repeating the same thing. And that's what I was like, okay, maybe it's time to put it aside. Yeah, no, I did play that one a good while. It was also one of those ones that, like, I played it until I started watching the viewership start properly dipping, and that's like, okay, it's time to put aside. Like, that's usually my cue to switch games, is, if I do see the viewership, like, not just one stream go down, but, like, I see, like, 2 or 3 streams when I'm playing that game, the viewership goes down, that means people have burned out on the game enough that they're not showing up anymore. Which is, honestly, probably later. Like, I should have already switched by the time it's getting to that noticeable level. But, it can be really hard to decide what to play next. Like, that, honestly, that is one of the biggest and most stressful decisions on the platform, is, like, figuring out what games you're playing if you're variety. Of all these, Iron-Willed. No question about that. We'll go ahead and have you do plants, social, and shooting. So, welcome to adulthood. I forgot they're still restricted. And we will go to your settings. You're not going to doctor. Cool. Good enough. But yeah, no, I played Medieval Dynasty for a while. That's, and that's one of those ones that, like, it is a survival game, but it's also sort of a city builder. So that's those ones that actually did relatively well. How did that do in the long run? Because I know the last 2 or 3 streams I did it, that felt like one of those games that I had to, like, hard drop it, because the viewership went from really good to just dropping to, like, 50 average viewers. It's like, oh, you gotta go. Like, that is, you have solidly overstayed your welcome. Oh, that's looking at streams like, why is this so weird? You found me during Medieval Dynasty? Yeah, like, that was the thing. It's like, it did pretty well. Like, I'm not unhappy with it. I'm gonna go ahead and tell it 10 hours, so I know it's only gonna include stuff I streamed more than one full, like... Yeah, so Medieval Dynasty, in the end, it averaged about 70 average viewers, and about 0.1 follows per hour on average. But if I actually go, and I played that 30 hours on stream, 31-ish hours on stream for the last year and a half or whatever. So what that would be is at about 4 or 5 hours per stream with that. That ends up being 6, 7, 8 streams, so a bit over a week or so if I'm playing just that. And I believe what I ended up doing is I would have only a couple days a week I played it. But it is one of those ones that, like, the numbers are kind of messed with, because early on it ended up in, like, the upper 80s, 90s average viewers, and then towards the end it was like 50 something average viewers. So it was like really good, well above average, and then really below average. That the drop was hard and fast. And that happens. Yeah, it's also the reasons why we didn't play more Space Engineers. I did 2-3 streams of Space Engineers, and that one dropped hard. Same thing with Mountain Blade as we actually did a good number. We did 26 hours. So we did a good like 5-6 streams of Mountain Blade. And that one dropped hard and fast to the point that actually ended up with a negative rate of followers. By the time it's all said and done. That we actually lost more followers while playing the game than we gained. Which does happen. That's actually the last couple Project Zomboid streams that's happened. So that while the viewership was relatively good, when I look at the following, so for like the last 2 months when I streamed Project Zomboid, it was at negative 0.1 followers per hour average, and then mid to upper 70s average viewership. So it's one of those things that the people really into Project Zomboid turned up, but it did end up driving away a lot of people who were just tired of seeing me play Project Zomboid. And it wasn't just drive me away, like didn't watch the stream, like unfollowed the channel, didn't come back kind of thing, or may or may not have come back. You gonna work that out? Congrats, you killed each other. Well done. Man, these are all things as a creator you end up having to deal with to a certain extent. But yeah, it's equivalent to voting with your dollar as viewers. If, you know, people don't tune in, like, if people don't tune in the channel when I play certain games, I don't play those games. That's unfortunately just the reality of it works. Why can't you talk? Oh, you're high. Fair enough. I was like, why are you getting a penalty? Ah, you're stoned right now. I understand. That does negatively impact your ability to negotiate, I would guess. Alright, do you have more books for me? You do not. Do you want some stuff here? We can go ahead and get rid of all these bows and probably those revolvers I'll never use. You don't have gold for me, so that doesn't have a whole lot of money we got. Alright, do you have anything else I want? Not really. You have a lot of money, though. I would like to have your money. Thank you for all your money. It's much appreciated. But yeah, not some. We played a lot of good games on the channel. Just been kind of stuck in this one of finding. Well, I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that because we hopped into Kenshi, and that did really well for us, or has been really well for us, for a good while. But now it's just trying to figure out, you know, what's next. And that's always a trick. And like I said, Kenji's not dead on the channel or anything. I'm just trying to come up with stuff to mix in addition to that game, to have more options on the table. Wanting to try some new games on the channel, see what sticks. Oh, good. Boyle gets to jump in the machine again. Hey, Boyle, buddy. I would like you to give me some pretty fun stuff that we can, like, have for our people. Are polls worth it to narrow down your choices? The problem is if I do Twitch polls, I can only have 5 options. That's kind of the big issue. And it's not a thing that I can have people, like... I can't have you say, I want to put this on the queue. Like, I have to do the 5 options, and we've done that. And so on the Discord, I can do the same, and I think I'm I'm limited to is it 12 reactions? And anytime I've tried to do stuff like Google polls, the number of people who participate is so incredibly negligible. It's effectively meaningless data because, you know, if I have several thousand viewers show up in the channel in the course of a month, and you get like 8 people participate in a poll, you know, it's such a small sample size that data, no matter how it goes, is going to end up being misleading at best. Includes paid promotion? That should not be on. My apologies. Yeah, so I've turned it off and I've updated it. We had a paid promotion last stream, which is why that was turned on. But yeah, no, there is no paid promotion today. So no sponsored stream today. Yesterday was sponsored. We had Factor 75 sponsoring us yesterday. Ducks join. Animals manage. Oh, I've already got. No, they don't. I was like, nice. Yeah, no, it was yesterday we had the sponsored stream. I think the only way I would do like back-to-back sponsored stream.
110.
110 what? Why do you keep giving me piercing spine? I don't want it. Rip ducks? Yep. Hey, it's not my fault ducks are trying to, you know, be ungovernable. But 100... Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I missed it. So we have Bentley at 110 stream streak. My apologies. Like, I got caught up with the message and my eyes just, like, blurred those things together. But 110 stream streaks. So thank you, Bentley, for catching the last 110 streams without missing a single one. That means a whole heck of a lot, so thank you so much for catching all those streams. And I hope you enjoy your extra 450 points. Thank you again for that support. We are finally smoothing out the walls. So that's lovely. Okay, what do you need now to be happy with that throne room, if you were at the highest rank? We have the 80 tiles. It all has to be fine floored. Oh my. We have the 6 columns. I still need the piano. I need braziers. Okay. I understand. So we're gonna go here. Do I already have piano unlocked? Yep, make a piano. Don't do this to me, game. I'm getting a real bad feeling that this is outdoors. Here, actually, there's a way we can check this. I can grab cookie. Okay, so a little teeny tiny pocket there. But it doesn't look like there's a bigger area down here that's open. So we got a little pocket of stuff that's revealed to the outdoors. It is what it is. All right. So what is going to end up happening here, and this is going to be astronomically expensive, is I need to make fine flooring for the entire throne room. And that is going to knock out a lot of brick, which I'm down for, but also it's gonna knock out a lot of brick. There's the other ones. Queuing these up to be hauled finally. Okay. And everyone's pretty happy, so they're all doing good and just having one thing after the other. Hey, Lemmy Blade, how's it going? So little by little, this room is going to get its flooring all done. We're just gonna chew through a giant mountain of granite. Taxes, baby. Yeah, I did mine the other day. There we go. Like, which didn't end up being that big a deal, but it was one of those things that when you get into the taxes thing, it is always stressful. Yeah, no, actually, me and Tomb did pretty well. That it's just the way it worked out between our two mutual incomes and all that. That actually worked out pretty well. Otherwise, we would have had to pay quite a bit more. I've definitely had some years that it was pretty rough, but this past year ended up being not too bad. I don't have the stuff it needs to take account, so we won't. Where did you put the piano? There's the piano. All right. 50,000, gotta cut your liability. 50,000, like, in owed taxes? Yeesh. Like, unless you're talking, like, running a business or something where you got, like, you know, big numbers kind of thing. That's rough. Your wife is 1099. It's always rough. Yeah, most years, ours has not been the greatest. That said, since I've switched into content creation and our income has gone down a lot, it's not been as bad. But at the same time, I'm not getting money pulled paycheck to paycheck to offset my taxes, so I pay less total taxes due to my reduced income. But they tend to slap me all at once. It is what it is. I'm actually one of those things that I don't mind needing to pay taxes and all that kind of stuff. The way I look at it is I like having paved roads. I like having, you know, if I call 911, the fire department can show up, the police department can show up, like, whatever. I like knowing that we provide education for people, and yada yada yada. And certainly people have incredibly long-winded arguments about, is the money being spent effectively? Is it on the things they care about? And almost anyone you ask, the answer is going to be no, but for entirely different reasons for every other person, which is fine. And we don't need to get into, like, individual issues or whatever. It is just kind of one of those things when you are dealing with, like, democracy and, like, pleasing the broader everybody. No matter what you do, there's going to be pretty much everyone out of the everybody that is going to be unhappy with some of those decisions. But that's okay. Because, like, if I think this should be more and you think it should be less, obviously those are two opposing views. There's going to be somewhere in the middle we will land. So there's a lot of decision making that comes. That doesn't even need to get into, like, politics sides, like even business stuff. That even on the channel, like, if I keep playing the same game, there's gonna be some number of people who are unhappy. If I switch games, there's gonna be some number of people unhappy. So there's somewhere in the middle I actually do meet that. And there's going to be a bunch of people who are unhappy no matter what decision I do make. And there is just a balance kind of thing. And there's all that. And that's fine. Like, that is the nature of compromise. A lot of compromise, you end up having neither party is happy about it, but both parties are at least, it's like kind of the least upsetting thing that they can, like, mutually agree on. We've been getting a lot of solar flares. Yeah, there's certainly discussion to be had there. We don't need to get into that because like that'll always get into politics where one person will say they absolutely should not use money for X, and the other person will be like, I'm very happy they use money for X, and they're talking about the same X, and they don't agree, and that's fine. All right, growth moment for Strider. So right now you've just got social and medical. We'll go ahead and get shooting on there because combat skills are good in general. You're iron-willed. I have plenty of construction and cooking people. Let's put you on. Let's actually look down here. Industrious fast learner. Ooh, both of those are really good. I'm gonna go with industrious on this one. I'm gonna go with construction. Construction will be something that sticks around longer than mining, because eventually with the mining you get to a point where it stops being as important. You know, where you just have people running the drills is kind of what they do. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that as 3, so you still do the cleaning running around. So, because I need someone to continue working on the cleaning. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things. Yeah, so we're getting all that sorted. We're burning through that granite real fast. That's okay. I never queued up stuff on any of these. Go ahead and make... You know, honestly, anytime you can make medicine, just do it. I'm probably not going to bother. I just figured out why we're not butchering any of the creatures. They destroyed that table forever ago. I'm glad they've been in the freezer so we can actually finally get meat and all that out of them. I was actually saying, like, man, it's really weird. We're really just not getting these done. I'm like, it's fine. I totally forgot that our butcher table got destroyed when we had a drop pod where he'd smash the roof and destroy it. Scan steel. In the meantime, I need to go to you. Can I do another proper? Okay. We got one more person to try and convert. We're gonna try and make that happen. Come on, just make it masterful right on the right now, so I don't even have to worry about it. Just masterful, be done with it, move on with our lives. Ineffective. That's not masterful. That's fine. That was the person we were just beginning with. It's the only one who is still not our ideology. What do you have that you're... Yeah, so global certainty loss is going to be way slower for you, so that's going to take a while. All right. Gonna have you do another age reversal in the meantime. And meanwhile, let's check on all our romance situations, so not really a good shot there. Nope. You are too young? No, why can't you romance? Okay. Yeah, and you're both too young. Alright, coffee or tea? With one you preferred? I prefer tea because I really don't enjoy coffee. Coffee's just not my jam. Like, no judgment for people who drink coffee, it's just not a flavor I'm a huge fan of. Alright. So we're getting these bedrooms all sorted out, which that'll be good because they'll get more expansion range. We got all this getting sorted out. We'll probably fill in some of that. That'll be just a whole thing. Was our person's the one who's mining? Groot's twig. Ah, they're de-aging. Usually don't care, you like both? Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's ultimately the thing. There's definitely things that I don't have a preference for, but there's not many things I'm like, nah, I'm just like not gonna. There's definitely stuff that I'm like, this isn't my preference. I'm not gonna go out of my way for it or anything like that. Do we have anyone else ready to climb in here? No, Sui's a baby. We're not having them climb in. Kalaria Star is a child. Ah, Conrad. You can go and hop into the machine and give us more of your genes. That way we can continue to do all sorts of mad science. The Pava monsters in tattered apparel. What on you is a tattered and why are you still wearing it? Ah, your flat clothes are starting to wear out. Installation, we have an ancient complex. So most of these ancient complexes and all that, where I'm at, I'm all like bunched up in the mountains that unfortunately caravanning is absolutely terrible. We've had to caravan a couple of times for stuff, but like this one would be no problem to reach. But even something like that ends up being 2-3 days each way. And then stuff out here is like 4 days each way, so it's like really just not worth it. Okay, so we are finding lots of steel in the perimeter now, so that's good. We're still more than good on steel. We got tons of steel out here to pick up. But that does mean as we start winding down in steel, we can just get more. We'll be good with all that. But yeah, and I've debated. There's been a couple of slice of life games that have come out. Who's starving and why are you starving? Oh, you're in the machine. Yeah, it's a totally valid reason to be starving right now. That happens. Strong stomach. I believe I already have strong stomach. I do, so don't put in the machine. There's no benefit in doubling up. Yeah, everyone else is waiting. What'll end up happening is when we get more of the kids grow up that are the hybrids, we'll start trying to sort that out. Does the drop pods are a way to travel? You can drop enough material to drop pod back. Yeah, no, I definitely can do that. I usually don't. Like, I'll definitely drop pod stuff to people. But it's pretty rare I'll drop pod people to a location, then give them the stuff to just drop pod back. I'll do that in a pinch with like caravanning kind of stuff I have to do for a fight, but not just like random ancient dangers and all that kind of stuff. Very, very genuinely, I find these days I find myself just avoiding caravanning more and more if I don't have to do it. To me, caravanning, if I were to take any one mechanic in the game and say this is the mechanic that needs the most work, caravanning is the one. I am curious with the update where, you know, with everything they got going on, if we're going to see any quality of life changes to caravanning that are meaningful. I'm really hoping we do. Because like I said, to me it's definitely one of the weaker offerings in the game is caravanning. That block is holding a roof. I could check. Okay. Get rid of those scraps of leather that we're not going to use. We've got some more books, so we can check out those. Got some worn out black stuff to take apart and all that. What else do we have? Go ahead and give you some Psi tea. Probably fine. And just like that, even more books. Said that blocks. Yeah, this block is holding up the roof. Oh, these blocks in the back. Yeah, no, it'll be fine because this has a radius that covers those. I'm gonna be putting columns here, but we had the 8 ones for holding up the roof. And I've been slowly switching those to columns so they match. Flash storm, don't care. But while the flash storm's going on, let's have... That's not the right one. Let's have a party. Let's have a standing out in the lightning party. Where we make sky lanterns. As our fields gradually burn. A beautiful event, and we do have some visitors who have arrived to give us gifts. It's fine. It mostly just burnt a little bit of herbal medicine and some dye, so I'm not really worried about that. Whereas half of the rest of the map is currently actively burning. Okay, so you're actually getting that constructed. That's good news. And we're continuing to get that granite floor down. It'll be interesting when I get as much of these as I can set up. And then, like I said, what we'll end up doing is we'll deprioritize a bunch of the stuff out here. And switch that over to, you know, stuff like herbal medicine, cotton. Maybe we go for Devil Strand or whatever. Because since we did get Tunneler, we don't like eating not... So we don't like eating the not mushroom vegetables. And you gave me gold. I appreciate your contributions to the colony, friend. Now we got to slowly whittle away at Draconic to get them converted. Alright. I mean, one thing I could certainly do for later in the stream is we could probably do more Going Medieval. It only did okay, but I think Going Medieval only did okay because of the fact that, you know, we switched categories and we switched categories again kind of thing. Like, you know, it suffered because of technical issues. Was that day? I mean, either way, it did alright. But I'd be down to play more of it. And I'm waiting to see our cotton build up more, so you can start building more of the rugs. But they end up costing like 600, 700, 800 cotton per rug. So we just burn through it real fast. And I say that, I think immediately I'm going to say... Do that. What is our ideology color again? It's like a deep purple. We'll make our library have a fancy floor in the middle of it. Because it feels like it really should have a fancy floor in the middle of it. Okay. Why? Oh. I see. One thing we can do is have regular fine meals. And regular lavish meals. There we go. And then we can do the regular lavish meals forever. And the reason I'm setting that up like that is because of getting all this meat piling in here, because we didn't have a source of meat before. So they're not actually using the meat for hardly anything. But if I set up this way, they will start, you know, using some of that meat and knocking that down. And that should help out quite a bit. And the throne room's coming together. So 50 marble blocks, and I've got a bunch. Okay. So that's overkill, but that's fine. And another baby is on its way, because of course there's another baby on its way. And the colony shall grow forever. Or at least until the DLC drops in like 4 days. Are we down to 4 days? 5 days. 5 days. The DLC drops in 5 days. So we're getting really close to the RimWorld DLC dropping. That's fine. Alright, so you have a mech hive that is attacking immediately. Okay, so it does have a termite. So with that, what we're going to do is Jaywalker here. We're going to have you go over here, grab the EMPs. I might honestly have She-Wolf also grab the EMPs. So no kids in this fight. Okay, so start dropping one set of EMPs right here. Okay, so let's try and fix the positioning a little bit here. So that we keep the ones being EMP'd being EMP'd. So problems are going to adapt. Okay, we've got them all in there. Get melee in here. So melee, Pava Monster on you, Sentient Cookie on you. reposition. Okay. So they did shred the wall, which is not my favorite. But, all things considered, it could have certainly gone worse. And so you both took bruises, right? Yeah, so you got a bruise, you got a bunch of bruises, that's fine. And meanwhile, we'll go down here to our weapons. So She-Wolf, grab your assault rifle. And Jaywalker, grab the assault rifle. Oh, you have you had a legendary SMG. So grab that, and what we will do here then is you grab the assault rifle. And then Groot's Twig and Papa Monster are crafting people, or our construction people. We'll deal with that in a minute. I need you to get patched up. We have another person able to do construction, so it's you two. Alright, because I just need to get that wall closed off so the next raid doesn't just walk right in. Okay, so it's at least enclosed. So good stuff. And then Sentient Cookie can climb into the machine. And compete, continuously like getting all the genes and all that sorted out. All right. You should be getting out soon. 1.5 days. No big deal. We got damage shuttle coming in. Okay. That's actually a pretty good spot for us. Stop social fighting, please. Alright, so grab everyone. Rally them over here. So when this raid comes, we can deal with it real fast. Okay, so they are all melee. This is going to work out great. Just run over here as quickly as you can. So that way they have to try and cross the water at us while we get free shots at them the whole time. Nicely done. Yeah, no cover or anything. They weren't gonna get through that. Medical treatment needed. Just a bunch of bruises still from their social fight. Okay, and you still have that. All right. This is all going pretty smoothly. Slow study, robust, poor intellectual. As much as I don't want that, that's potentially usable. Medical treatment needed on all of you. That's fine. We are slowly hauling all the blocks in on the map and turning them into brick. It's just taking its time. All right, just shifting around in my chair. Yeah, we'll definitely want to figure out what we're doing when Anomaly comes out, like just experimenting. Like that'll be the big thing when Anomaly drops, is just taking all the time we can to just experiment as much as we can. So you're an adult now? Yes. We have started reaching the point where more and more of our people are becoming adults, which means now I'll be like sustaining this many kids or something about there, and more adults will be showing up. Like eventually you get to a unmanageable number of colonists and whatever. I can worry about that when we get there. Like it's honestly, this is already getting a lot busier than I really like my colonies to typically get, but it's fine. You found jade underground. It's a shame it's such an inconvenient location. How much did you find? I mean, 300's not a tiny bit. Because we'll block the door and I'll put a mining drill in there. That way we can mine up the jade for making all sorts of stuff we have no business making. Later on, I don't have any rush to getting the mining drill out because I got enough. I still have to mine all of this back here. You're starving, despite having 222 food. Good job. All right. Cool, so Groot's back is going to get back to doing construction, which will help. We did get our second layer of wall on the inside done. Also going to go over here probably to the sandstone. You get that built out there, and I'll probably honestly go here as well. That way you can get to and from the kill box pretty fast and all that. Is he any idea what the drop date is of the next DLC? Yeah, it's the 11th. So, literally 5 days from now? Yeah, no, Industrialist is a very strong trait to consider. Yeah, so we're gonna get the DLC really soon. That's a big part of why I think the RimWorld category has been doing relatively well. Is, you know, one, RimWorld just generally does at least relatively well in general. But then on top of that, is with the DLC dropping soon, there's a lot of excitement and all that going on. We're all just kind of in DLC waiting room. Let's also put a door there. So just queuing up more and more projects to be done. Also, let's put a second door in here to have 2 layers of the doors going in and out. I still got stuff to mine on the rest of the map, that's fine. Yeah, we're definitely running into bottleneck on the construction people because it's just, this base is getting absolutely ginormous. Like, this much area taken over by a base is pretty significant. Like, map coverage-wise, it's not nearly as big. But inside this terrain, we're using almost every single block. Like, the occasional tiny little pocket like this. Alright, Nigel, you sleep well. Thank you again for tuning in. Okay. Yeah, I know I know the other day we were talking about for game deciding stuff. I do think I'd like the idea of having, like, we have the game suggestions channel, but if I could set up a way that, you know, every individual could suggest a singular game, as like the game they would like to see me play kind of thing, and then, you know, do that for like a week, get together that, you know, completely unreasonably large list of games, and then turn around from that large list of games, you know, I would go through and knock out ones I'm like, yeah, I have no interest in playing that, or, you know, that kind of thing, because there'll be that, there'll be a game that's like, I've played it, I've beaten it, I've done everything, you know, I just don't want to. Or there'll be a game that's like, hey, like, this covers material that I really don't want to be involved in the channel. Like, for as much fun as the Grand Theft Auto's games are, I don't have any intention of playing Grand Theft Auto, like, as Grand Theft Auto on the channel. They're not, it's like, not, like, bad game or anything like that, but it's just very not chill vibes. Or just the same, Call of Duty or Battlefield would be games that are just like very counter to anything I played on the channel, so I'd probably nix those. But then I'd do the past doing that kind of thing, being like, this is a game I have no interest in playing, or this is a game that like is super misaligned, like super misaligned with the channel and all that. You know, nix a bunch of those kind of things, and then take that list and then have like, you know, a good pull. I like the idea. People mentioned that it'd be good if we could stack rank it. And I think that is a good idea. For those who don't know how stack ranking works, is what I'd probably do is say, okay, you get like 5 votes or something like that. You know, some number of votes, like the actual number doesn't matter. And you'd sit there and you pop in, and let's say there's 20 games and you get 5 votes. And you say, this is the game I want to see the most. I'm giving it 5 points. This is the game I'd be next. That's 4 points. This is the game I'd be next. That's 3 points. And you get the idea, you work way down. And so what ends up happening is everyone does all that. And then it's like the cumulative total says, this is the one that got voted the highest, this one got voted the lowest. Yeah. But, like, that was the thing. The downside is I'd have to set something up, which is the only reason I'm hesitant to even, like, take it as a serious thing right now, is I haven't seen any type of tool or platform or whatever that I can set that up elegantly, and more than likely you'd have to pay for it, which might be a hard sell for me, because if it costs any meaningful amount of money, that's difficult to justify. But that could be a way of trying to get more options in there. Now, it doesn't account for, like, new games pop out. Like, that's part of the reason I can't go hard of just literally just follow the vote, is because we'll have games that pop out of left field and sponsorships and all these other things that you like just the time of going through the process of doing all the votes and all that, the game, shows up, it runs its course, and it goes away all before that can get done. But we have been doing the poll in the Discord, and one of the issues I run into is if I can't get enough participation in that poll, it makes it harder and harder to use it as a resource. Yeah, variety is good, all for those left field pop-ups. Yeah, well we were trying to start the stream with Sons of Valhalla, which is a relatively new game that's similar to Kingdoms, but like the combat is got a lot more substance to it. And I've got an issue, and it's on my end, that in RimWorld I had it where the cursor wasn't showing up. And we managed to find a way to work around that problem by going into RimWorld. And where are you at? It's a disable game specific. Like, if I turn that off, you still see my mouse? I don't. Like, I see the mouse in the preview in OBS over there, but on my screen here, my mouse is gone. And so I'm going to need to go in and figure out why that's happening, because that also happened in Sons of Valhalla, but they don't have an option to get around that. So something is happening that my mouse, it's not letting, like, the in-game mouse work. And so my thought is I'm going to go and do, after stream today, do a complete, like, removal of my video drivers, reinstall my video drivers kind of thing. I meant to do that yesterday, but I had a bunch of stuff I had to get done today, and, it slipped my mind. And before I forget, because I forgot to do it already, shout out, we're going to go ahead and do a shout out for Allison Adventures. For those who don't know, Allison Adventures, an absolutely fantastic content creator on the platform. Plays a whole heck of a lot of Project Zomboids. If you're looking for that, you can find that over there. But definitely good times over there. Someone I'd highly recommend checking out. But yeah. Man, I like playing a lot variety. It's just, it can be really difficult sometimes. When you're playing games that are not, like, well established, it's definitely a riskier approach, which I do like to play those, and I have many times played games that are well outside, like, the big things going on. Like, for example, even when Coral Island did its big release, that wasn't a game that seemed to be, like, really widely known across the platform. And I also played it, like, still early access updates, and I've been very happy with that one. Like, that's done relatively well for us. We definitely checked out a bunch of random things, like Construction Simulator and all those. Some of those did well, some of those didn't. Like, we tried Ship Graveyard 2, and it's an interesting game, but it's real janky, and it was one of those ones that just, it only did okay. But that's fine. We checked out Pacific Drive. That didn't do super well. I keep honestly debating being like, let's just do another stream. Actually, I think I did 2 streams of it, and I did debate just be like, yeah, let's just do another stream of it because I feel like it. But also it's one of those things that people definitely didn't stick around to watch, so that is, a thing. You always kind to me? You chill vibes here. It's a happy place? Yeah, I try. Well, that's the hope, is that you attract an audience that really doesn't care too much what games you play. Like, outside of playing something they very specifically don't want to see, they'll, hang out because you're streaming it kind of thing. But the unfortunate reality is most people on Twitch, they're there for a specific game. Whatever the hyper focus is of the week. They're there to see more Path of Exile. You did a full day of that game? Yeah, I gotcha. I enjoyed it, but it didn't do great, and its numbers have been going down. So it's one of those things that, like, all the data points and evidence kind of point that it's probably not a good idea for me to pop back into it. But also at the same time, I had a lot of fun. I don't know. It probably won't get played again on stream, realistically. It's a cool story game, to be sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's also, like, as a style of game, like, it, people talk about different things one way or the other about games, this way or that way. And there's just a lot of times that, you know, games come out, they don't really do something new or different. And that was definitely one where, like, no, without question, it is a game that there's exactly one game in existence like it. Like, there are few games that even have similarities to it. I do wish they had more music tracks though for that are copyright safe, because the music they do have is really good. There's just not enough of it, so you do end up listening to it a bunch of times and you're finally like, you know what? I could go for just more tracks. Like that's one thing I think for games that do music really well in that style of game, I think Hard Space Shipbreaker is one of the games to try to beat. Because, like, the music in Hard Space Shipbreaker is really good. You don't sit there being like, man, I really wish the music would come back. And I also don't feel like Hard Space Shipbreaker, even after you've played like 40, 50, 60 hours, you don't go, man, I'm really tired of this song. You know, it's just a bop. Doom Eternal is a $60 soundtrack with a game attached. To a certain degree. I do enjoy the memes with, like, Doom with all that, where it's like, you know, they play the music, it sound like boss music. You know, what it is, though, is the boss music is for the various enemies in the map, and you're the boss. It's just you're that ridiculous power just cutting through everything. Crysis games have a good soundtrack? I don't remember Crysis's soundtrack. Because for me, the big problem with Crysis was like, you know, it used to be the meme, like, you know, is your computer good? Can it run Crysis? That was kind of the decision maker. Like, it was back when that was a meme, and I never got back to it. Like, I played a little bit, it's like, okay, you got some neat gimmicks in that. But it felt like it was really just trying to show off the Cry engine and all that. I don't know. As I got older, I ended up playing less and less and less first-person shooters, and that was one that, like, I got into a bunch of them, but that was just one that I never did really get into it. Like, I played it, but just, you know, I never properly got into it. Like, you know, I never beat that one versus, like, you know, I beat the BioShock, you know, the first game. I actually didn't get to the later BioShock games. I didn't end up circling back and doing that. Far Cry was another one that I never really got into either. Like, I've heard nothing but good things. It hasn't been like a deliberate decision to not play it or whatever. It's just I always had too many games going on, and I'm the kind of person who likes to finish a game. And so if I take the time to properly, like, do all the things in the game, it just means there's so many games that I'll just never get to touch. I was saying, me either. It's very cool. Some of the games you play and some of the games you're drawn into their world, it becomes more than playing. Yep, and we got a healthy baby. So, new baby in the colony. So let's see who our new colonist is. And we've got Luxray here, so let's go ahead and put you on their list. All right. Let's see. You love the first, the second, and the third Far Cry. The others become repetitive. Love. Gotcha. Yeah, and that happens. Well, that's also one of the difficult things. Like, for example, I really enjoyed the Borderlands series. And it's definitely like Borderlands 1, the first time you play it, it's pretty good. It's a little harder once you played the later Borderlands to go back to 1, because you have to go back to, like, the old style compass and a whole bunch of things that don't feel good, like, going back to them. And I'm gonna have someone pick that up and take that back. Just so it doesn't rot. But like, it's a little tricky to go back from like Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 1 because they definitely in Borderlands 2 did a lot of stuff to like kind of improve a bunch of like different quality things about making the compass better, making the navigation better, having the like quest prompts be better, having the quests be a bit better. They kind of got a better fix on doing, you know, better storytelling and all those kind of things. So then you go back to the first one, you're like, there are some rough edges here. Hey, Panderific, how's it going? Getting that 3 stream streak, so thanks so much for catching the last 3 without missing them. I really do appreciate that. It means a heck of a lot, and congratulations on your extra 350 points. Really, no, enjoy those as well. Yeah, no, I'd definitely say for me, Borderlands 2 was the best of the Borderlands.
Take a sip. What's the worst that could happen?
That said, there's a lot of people who are pretty hostile to like the pre-sequel and all that. That like the pre-sequel, you know, Tales of Borderlands 3, there's a lot of them that are pretty harsh to it. I don't feel like being outcryingly negative is appropriate for any of those games. I feel like they're all relatively good games. It's just, I will agree that Borderlands 2 was definitely like the knock out of the park, like really, really good game that they do fall short of the, you know, really do fall short of the later ones. Okay, so it's just the 3 donkeys? Alright, go home. Yeah, the Far Cry games were right. Didn't have time for the fun factor compared to the Borderlands games. But, turns are more realistic to it. Yeah. You Traction Fire, you love the music? Oh, yeah. P Music is a mod for RimWorld. It's one of those ones, it's like, the music is just so on point. It's just great. But yeah, no, it's only 5 if you didn't get into a bunch of the, you know, you didn't get into a bunch of games. Not every game is for everyone and all that. But, I did enjoy it. But I would definitely say Borderlands 2 was the strongest of the titles in the Borderlands series. Like, they hit, like, the right balance on things. But I will also say that, for me, Borderlands 2, the villain Handsome Jack really carried the game. Because they had antagonist down to, like, a perfect T. You know, you get to the end, you're like, yeah, I'm beating the bad guy, but this isn't about beating the bad guy. It's like, it's screw this guy. I am doing this because I don't like them. But you do actually love them as a character. It's like, no, this is a personal grudge between us that needs to be aired. And so Tales of the Borderland, that was one of the things that hurt it, was, it kind of felt like they, you know, you defeated the bad guy previous, like he died. And they're like, but he's not actually gone, he's back. Which felt kind of, And then you got to Tales, then you got to the Borderlands pre-sequel, and I would say pre-sequel is still good, but it had some mechanics that were, like, in my opinion, were fun additions to the game. Like, I liked the low grav jumping. I felt having areas with low grav jumping was interesting, and they added, like, butt slams to the game that was interesting, and, you know, it did stuff to differentiate itself. But story-wise, it didn't stick as well. And there was other design decisions that, didn't quite stick as well. I would still say it's good though. But it definitely wasn't as strong an offering as Borderlands 2. And then Borderlands 3, you know, they finally did separate off from the villain, you know, Handsome Jack, which I think was the right decision because they had killed off the character, and if they kept recycling it, it would have been like really kind of, you know, as much as I love the character, when you do take a character that you supposedly kill for the 8th time and they keep coming back, i.e., like, all the characters from the Metroid series, you know, Ganon from Zelda, who keeps apparently being killed and apparently keep not being killed, it starts to feel cheap after a while. Castlevania. Well, at least Dracula has canonically a reason why he does that versus, wait, didn't I kill Ganon already? And then it keeps showing up and you're like, but I keep killing this guy, and canonically he doesn't have a reason to come back as far as I'm aware. He just, the next time you turn around, he's just back and you're like, what? The term final boss really wasn't very Food in 3. Yeah. Oh yeah, and that was like the kind of thing is like they tried to go a different direction with the villains in Borderlands 3. And I don't even think they had a bad idea. It just didn't land. Like it didn't quite hit the same notes. They were definitely going for the same antagonistic feel. They wanted something distinct, but it was well, like, for those who haven't played Borderlands 3, the villains are effectively streamers / content creators. But like they're the worst kind, so they're like, you know, getting people to like torture themselves and do all sorts of like dumb, awful things. And it's like, oh, it's all cartooned up and silly and all that. And it feels like it's a joke that's kind of overplayed by the time you're done. That you're like, I get it. I understand. But they just keep doing it. So they keep having like these big, like, you know, video events with like their various minions and all that. And, you know, it's kind of fun at first, but they're like, all right, I'm a little tired of this trope already. So it didn't stick as well. I also felt, well, yeah, they were not specifically anything. They were kind of like Instagram influencers. They're kind of like streamers. They were like some just non-specific content creator. But it was one of those things that like the main villains of that one just for like they went from where Handsome Jack was like fun but annoying to they started to get more bridging to just annoying. So it just didn't land as well. And so as well as things, but you'll have people be like, this is the worst thing ever, how could they do it, this, you know, they should be ashamed. It's like, nah, they tried something. And it's one of those things that a lot of times you start down that row of making your villain and on paper it looks really good, and in your, you know, test studies and all that, it does really good, and then you actually like execute the idea and you're like, it's just really not sticking the way you want it to. Like it's fine on paper, but like now that you actually have the finished product, it's just not really doing nearly what you were hoping it would. You know, and at that point you can't circle back and be like, scrap it, start over. Like you've already invested literally millions of dollars into it. And you just gotta go, alright, it's what we got. Let's see, and then there's the terribly, why are we doing this, is left to miserable collectibles. Little story points you can find. Oh, I don't remember. Like, I liked looking for all the vault symbols in the old ones. Like, I got all the achievements. Well, actually, I take that back. I got most of the achievements in the past ones. There was like one or two. Like, the first one, the only achievements I'm missing is due to Moxie's Coliseum thing. Because they had those ones that you had to do, like, literally play like 4 or 5 straight hours and not lose in the Coliseum without the game crashing or having any problems, which is a big ask. Because Moxie's Coliseum was particularly crashy. So I'm missing 1 or 2 of the achievements related to that because I'd get 4 hours into it and then you'd crash and then you want to like throw the game through the wall. Like, it just makes you just not want to play. I did get all the achievements in Borderlands 2, and I think the pre-sequel. And Borderlands 3, like, it was one of the few games I ended up buying on Epic, and I do did I get on Epic? I can't remember. I remember I got on something that I just wasn't happy with, like, the platform is on. I'm pretty sure it was the one I did get on Epic, if I remember. Let's see, there's little pillars that have story exposition and some great traveler tied to it, the antagonist. You don't want to spoil it to some folks who want to play it. Gotcha. I probably did it, and I just wholly don't remember it. I just couldn't get as invested in Borderlands 3 story. But like I said, I still wouldn't call it a bad game. I would actually say, in a lot of ways, they did a lot more to create some more wild and ridiculous guns to the game. So like the itemization had some pretty fun stuff. They did a bunch of other mixing up stuff that, you know, was a nice change of pace and all that. So I really appreciate that. It was just the antagonist didn't stick the same way Handsome Jack did. But like I said, I think that was those ones that everything looked good. Their focus groups, it looked good. Their tests, it looked good. And everyone was like, yeah, let's roll with it. And in small bites, it was really good. And then when they had enough of it, it was like, oh, this actually gets tiresome fast. And by then, it was just, you know, too late. They had already put the time in and all that. There was no going back to the drawing board without, like, scrapping the game. Okay. Yep, you just went and burned a bunch of stuff up there. That's fine. That's the reason you notice there's roofs around these doors. That's exactly why it is. So even if we have a fire that just waves past these, they won't be able to get in here to do anything. I've got enough space around that door so the fire can't spread to the door. That doesn't mean we don't have the possibility of like someone running up and then lighting the door on fire itself. But, you know, hopefully we'll be able to deal with that. Generally speaking, fires haven't cost me very many runs. Not counting imps running up to my people and then literally lighting my people on fire. That has cost me runs. But, like, just randomly having your field send fire has really not stuck. Let's see, the Samurai Western DLC was, Borderlands 3 was also better than the main game, in your opinion? Yeah, that didn't surprise me. Like I said, that was one that, like, they ran with an idea. I don't even think it was a bad idea. It just didn't land. It was either overplayed, however you want to go. Okay, so you did get your bionic arm. Let's go ahead and try and get you the bionic leg. Is that your left leg? Get you your bionic leg. In a moment. Oh, don't ruin that room. That room's expensive. Look, man, I'm not saying we're on a budget. Alright. Darth. You're still going down there. I want to shuffle this around a little bit because I don't like the idea about having the kids being the line. Directly behind the melee pawns. Okay. Fearless has entered the queue? Gotcha. And another infestation handled. Oh, we have a survivor. Cool. So that's not too bad. They didn't really destroy anything, so that's good news. Once I get those last 2 or 3 tiles left in that room, we'll be good to make it a throne room. Mad hair, because of course, something happened. 2 seconds went by, so it's time for something to happen. Are you really banged up? Not really banged up, but let's go ahead and grab you to deal with the hair. Okay. Hey, Lardine. Ant problem in the church. Overkill? Yeah, I just rather go in there and make sure no one gets a hit. I probably should split them up more, but you never know. I've had times I've run out there and then immediately some panther or cougar sitting right there to hunt whoever's there. Ooh. Sanguiphage is ready to toss in there. Oh, it's the Empire. I don't care about that. And just double checking that's not going to kill you? Yeah. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Now remove the limit on the stone cutting. That will mean we'll be running out there farther and farther for bricks. But I've got enough crafting people. I really want that to get done. And we're right here at the end of being able to get this temple done. Oh, meanwhile, we have Ichi Tenma going there. Oh, I still need to get this room done. That's right. This will be another room that needs to be done, so let's go ahead and queue that up to be dealt with. Oh, I need to go to orders to smooth it all. Because I'm trying to get the royalty room set up so we could just up title this person to the moon. Okay. And we got that going. How am I doing on time, by the way? I'm doing pretty good. Alright. Super fast wound healing. Yes, please. All day long. We're gonna have to find some pretty good negatives to manage this, though. Let's see, Para is 20 and Groot is on that machine for still 50-ish? Does the age change in the machine? This thing? Yeah, when I de-age... So yeah, so you'll notice where Groot's is 54, but it shows as 56. I've actually taken I've de-aged them 2 years so far. Yeah, so you just have very fast encyclopedic dolls. So let's take a look at what you do around here again. You do construction. That's what you do. You do construction and you fight. So let's see now if I were to circle back and have you reset this up. UV psychically dull. You don't do those things. That gives us metabolic of that. And that's perfect. So basically, they have all the things they're bad at we don't care about. They heal super fast, they run super fast. The elongated fingers would be good for better manipulation. I just don't have more I can put in here. Because I can grab that, but that puts a complexity too high for us to do. Actually, can it be in the other room? I can't. It has to be in the same room. That's okay. We can make this work. Especially construction, it says. Mm-hmm. Because we can start making some pretty wild people pretty fast. Fast healing, super fast moving, and robust. Take reduced damage, heal from it really quickly, and move quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love for Boil down here. I would love to get Deathless, Ageless, or one of these up here. Scarless is also pretty nice. But, I would need negatives to go with it. Which is the catch. Some of these ones down here where they're afraid of fire and all that wouldn't be bad negatives for us. Coagulate's another really good one, but you have to get the Hemogen to go with that. That's the thing. All these ones up here require the Hemogen. That requires Hemogen. That requires Hemogen. Do you require... Deathless requires Hemogen? No, it doesn't. But it is really expensive. Like, that is a very, very pricey, thing to set up. Okay. Which is why we're keeping the vampire around, is I'm literally just having us try and grab the genes from them again and again to see what we can come up with. But if we get this built, I can add the complexity where we can get like a really strong pawn. You got a little bit of plasteel. Oh, really a little bit of plasteel. That's what we're dealing with, just a lack of plasteel. How are we doing in power, by the way? We're still really good. But yeah, so we want to keep trying to get all those things out. Do we have anyone else who's ready to pop in here? Conrad. Claria Star's still too young, and Sui's still too young. Like, they can pop in there, but I'd rather let them, you know, continue getting their education as a kid, and then once they are not a kid anymore, deal with that. Alright, so, do this again. So we are going to take all of these, and we'll take the elongated fingers, poor social, super fast wound healing, very fast runner, and we take the slow study, kinda sucks, poor intellect, also kinda sucks, but robust, which is really nice. What am I missing for my negatives? Oh, there we go. It's complexity 1 too high. What did we have before? So I could ditch the elongated fingers. I mean, that's really good for construction. Oh, poor shooting we didn't have. Because I don't want to give you poor shooting. Is there a place I can get another point here? Yeah, so the problem is if I pull one thing off, We put another thing on. Whose gene's this for? Oh, actually, was it for Pavmonster? It's for Pavmonster. All right, 1 second. I'm looking at the wrong person. So poor shooting. So we have all these negatives. Those are fine. We got the UV. That's fine. Super fast healing, fast runner, and robust. So we're actually 1 point ahead. We would be missing out on the elongated fingers for construction. I think I could live with... Oh, actually, we can get robust by itself. So it's -2. But I don't have a combination where I can get it where we don't have a huge hunger rate. Because I can put the psychically dull, but then I still have that. Versus if I do this, I'm slightly better off. Get the fingers? But the problem is if I get the fingers, we're at a really high hunger rate. And I can't add more points than this. And I'm at 150% hunger rate, and I do not want them to constantly have to stop and eat. Reduced pain is fine, I don't care about that. And to get the elongated fingers, I have to give up robust, very fast, or super fast wound healing. I feel like having robust to me, I care about more than the other. Or we can do this. And then it opens up more options. I need more negatives, is what I need. Or you can add one more. Well, that's the problem, is I couldn't. There's a complexity, and I was at 10 out of 10, which is why I'm building this, is that'll let me bump it to 10 out of 12 or whatever. Crimson Assembly. Nah. I have no intention of making one of my people a vampire. No, add one more genes per more. Extracted Hulk body. Don't worry about adding that. No, add one more gene processor, so 4 total. I don't think I have the plasteel even to build this one. Is the problem, is I don't have a bunch of plasteel laying around. I think I've got a little bit more I can mine over here. That's on the to-do list. You know, I have more I can do that. Oh, yeah, we could search. I've got 5, and I need 20. Otherwise, I gotta mine it. Which the mining will happen. Okay, so your throne room is good. But your bedroom is not. We need more gold and we need more granite. And I don't believe I've got more gold. I've got 14 gold laying around, which isn't enough. Okay, and we're starting to get the library's floor looking nicer. That's all fine. So who's the person we have mining right now? Roots? I guess. Well, when they wake up in the morning and they feed themselves, I'll probably manually have them knock out a couple blocks of the compact plasteel. See if we can't manage to get in our gene processor built so we can start just really kind of making some ridiculous people. Because robust and very fast healer feels like a really good combination. Okay. So you get a left arm. You can have a right leg. Oh, Groot's like our best doctor almost, aren't you? Oh, no, you're not. You were one of our better doctors. Okay, so stop what you're doing. You're good here. Where's the plasteel? Go right there. Break that block. Let's go clear our home zone. $39, that's enough. So we can go ahead and get another processor up and running. And with another processor, we can turn around and be able to get more ridiculous genetic stuff. I wonder what the absolute, like, cap is you can do with these things. Probably like 20 or something like that. Okay. So that gives us basically everything we want. And on top of that, we can get +1. So we even have a slight boost of strength and all that. So it'd be terrible at crafting, social, cooking, and shooting on a melee pawn. We'd have elongated figures for better construction on the pawn. Super fast wound healing, very fast, mild UV sensitivity. We do take slow study and poor intellect, but we gain robust and psychically dull. Let's make this ridiculous monstrosity for Pava Monster. Because the reduced damage by 25% is not something to be underestimating. Meanwhile, right, it'd be on this table. We will add marine armor and marine helmet. Please, just one. Of at least 80% quality. And that's hardly ever going to happen because I need a bunch of plasteel. Hey, Yonek, it's going pretty good. Good to see you. Okay, do we have any more bionic limbs? No. Wait. Yeah, no. We've got the, we got the bionic eye, but no one needs one right now. Alright, so Pava Monster, it is time to have a ridiculous time. You're about to get some real wild genetic stuff happening. And this is what they are now, and this is what they became. So they are now a super fast wound healing, very fast running, robust pawn with elongated fingers. They got a whole lot of negatives, but that's okay, because they're a melee pawn in construction. So they just became an absolute monster of a pawn. So next up, we have Alyssa Denzi, who does crafting and mining and research. So that'll help with the crafting. We can get to the cooking. We can do the poor social. We can't take the robust with that, so we take robust there. I would love to give them these. I don't think there's a way I can make that work. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate I can't take these, so there's 3 points I can't make happen, so I'd have to ditch 5. Most likely ditching 5 would be getting rid of the very fast runner. Instead, we're not going to worry about that. I probably just need to get more negatives. Like, if I can get, like... Hey, White Jaguar became a child. Congratulations on childhood. Let's go ahead and get your schedule full of some recreation in here. And get all of that sorted out. And we are getting a little... Actually, I'm lying. We actually have a perfectly good gun right there. Cool. That's a lot of pawns. Yeah, no, when you get, like, multiple couples running around having kids, they definitely keep your people from being able to get a whole lot. Like, just the show, like, so many people pop in here. It's one of those things that, like, early on it's really tough, but if you can keep your colony alive until they start, like, the first ones start hitting adulthood, it means then you just get this regular cadence of, like, really strong pawn after really strong pawn, just hitting adulthood one after the other, that it can absolutely be absolutely ridiculously powerful. Yeah, 4 days, 30, 12. Yeah, so we got 4 days for Sentient Cookie to have more. Flash Storm again. Have you ever done run around center around growth bats? Just making quick soldiers? No, I haven't. Keeping Elmo, their favorite pet. Cool. And once we finish this like throne room thing in here, or not throne room, the bedroom in here. Then we'll be able to like actually take our title on, because we've got the throne room built. I believe that throne room qualifies. Yes, it's a 150 impressiveness. And what would I actually need? $160. So I actually need slightly more impressiveness than I already have. If they smooth out the walls, that'll do it. So do that until you have 10 and Don't use... Actually, wood is fine. Don't use steel. And let's have you stick to... Let's have you use the limestone. It's not the best choice, but it's one of the only ones I'm not... Did you set yourself on fire? It's so ridiculous. Life finds a way. Alright. Okay, I just need more gold, and I'll be able to make the royal bed in there. Oh, it's stuff. But yeah, no, the growth things, I just haven't done it before. It's just not one of those things that ended up happening. It's not that I particularly avoided it, but I never did get in the run where it's just like churning through the like just trying to do the kids as fast as I possibly could. The closest we had was like the Adam and Eve run that we did way back. Not way back, but a while back. Where we started with just 2 pawns that were a couple, and then built an entire colony from that. And I think they ended up having like 27 kids or some ridiculous nonsense. Like really, really built up a very large colony just with the family. Alright, we have you de-age again. I keep trying to knock that age down. Combat supplier. Cool. There you are. Well, I mean, it was literally 2 people having all the kids. RimWorld doesn't let you, you know, have relations with relatives under normal circumstances. Which I appreciate. Because you think growth at all age challenge can be fun? Like, they can only grow colonist kids, but the kids have to be born in growth vats. I'd have to even look into the rules behind the growth vats. Like, I'm on board with the idea of doing something like that, but I just don't have any, like, I don't have knowledge about the growth vats too much. I think I messed with them like one time and I just never circled back to it. Oh, I don't want to do that. We have the bolt action rifles. We keep that. But how's it going, Leafy Pew? I hope you're having yourself a good one. Bunch of worn out stuff. But yeah, no, that was the Adam and Eve run had a lot of stuff that got a little uncomfortable here and there. Where I had to like keep people from cracking certain jokes because it really was a colony that was bordering a baby factory, and that gets to a whole lot of uncomfortable like jokes that people are being like, let's not make the jokes that come up with that, please. There was a number of times it was like, yeah, we're leaving that one alone. We're leaving that one as far from, you know, as far alone as we possibly can. We did have the occasional person who came out of the woodworks just to make some pretty awful memes. That's fine. Like that's actually one of the reasons why when I was doing a lot of the Sims, people were like, you should do the 100 baby challenge. I'm like, nah. Like, already with the RimWorld run we had a lot of jokes were like, all right, that's going a bit farther than I think we really should, you know, for those kind of jokes. And it was like, you know, the whole 100 baby challenge, like, okay. And there's nothing wrong with the challenge. I actually know there's creators who are friend the channel who do it. But it's just one of those things like, nope, that's one that I'm gonna have to do a lot of moderating stuff I just really don't want to deal with. What's this? This is RimWorld. It's a colony building style game. Pretty good. I've certainly played my fair share of it. Give a secondary path to get through there. But yeah. It's just one of those things you're like, yep, nope, that's a real hard one to do. All right. And I'm researching the ship, even though I have zero expectation of launching the ship before the DLC drops. Like, how many pawns I'm named after... Let's see. I like how many pawns I'm named after is only one with the ears sticking out of the helmet, but got a mask, a trench coat. Like, how do you do, you fellow humans? Yeah, and that's, you're one of our few people who's not a baseline, or what didn't start, because we have a Neanderthal, we have a pigman, we definitely have a sanguine who has certainly not suffered unethical treatment in any way. Don't worry about it. And at this point, most of our people are no longer considered baseliners because we've been switching. Oh, I didn't get Jaywalker switched over. Alright, so Jaywalker does social, crafting, plants, cooking, artistry. I see. That's why you haven't been switched over. Because you do that, you do that, you do that, you do this. I understand. There's a reason why you don't have all that. Did you also do... intellectual or not? I don't think you did. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the stuff for Jaywalker. So again, these ones we don't... Wait, did you have cooking? You had cooking, right? I'm pretty sure you did. That is the one thing about giving people a little bit of everything. So you take that, take that. I keep forgetting what they have. I wish there was an easy way to look. Yeah, so you do have crafting. I wish there was a way to look at both those at the same time. Strong with pig voice. You eat anything, but you now oink. Pretty much. Alright, so you can grab those two. Those are safe. These I can't take. That I can take. That'll be fine. The slow study sucks. But I can live with it. And we're at +5. So I can get myself fast runner if I want. Or I can go with super fast healer. Super fast healer is probably more important for our purposes. I just don't have a place I can get more points. It doesn't hurt us a lot. Are they melee? No, they're ranged. Let's go with fast runner because they shouldn't be taking damage. I'm gonna go with that. That's what we're doing. And we just keep making more and more and more meals. Alright, it's your turn. Plug it in. And you've already been switched over. Okay, Sui has become a child. Welcome to childhood, Sui. So let's go ahead and get you equipped. Alright, you are a hybrid, so you are bad at shooting. You got aggressive. So this is one we wanna go through here and override this. I believe if I do the xenogerms, it'll override a bunch of these things. I just can't remember exactly how that works when it's not a xenogerm, but like their actual xenotype kind of thing. Oh, also I need to go to your schedule. You're doing a full schedule recreation now. You stay in the safe area. And we'll get your assignments all sorted out. Okay. Yeah, it's just all negatives. Okay. So we're just gonna disregard all this. Sui is a clean slate. Well, so the problem I'm running into, we'll wait on that, because the problem I'm running into is if I switch them now, depending on what we get, that can run counter to what we give them so far as the biology stuff, and you know we can't really change traits, or sorry, we can't really change passions, traits, those kind of things. So it's kind of like I need to wait till Sui becomes an adult, and then you know go through and be like, all right, here's what I actually have for the finished pawn. Can't you switch them later? I can. But I have to keep in mind that it knocks them down for several days while they're a child, which means they're not learning. So I think I put up with it for right now. And just circle back to it when it's time to circle back. The queue should be open. Yeah, the queue is open. There we go. As a random question, if have any of the people who've been on the Project Zomboid server, have we been having people on the Project Zomboid server running meaningful amount this past week? I admittedly have fallen behind on what's going on there. Like it's totally fine if you are. I'm basically just trying to gauge. I started getting the thing saying like, hey, as a reminder, you need to re-up your server, and I'm trying to gauge how many people are still using it to see whether or not it makes sense for me to keep re-upping the server, or if I let it just kind of shut down. It still has a little bit while left, but it is running out of time. Bionic Eye, we definitely want to give that to someone ranged. You think SD Vitez and you were the last ones still on there regular? Were or are? That's what I'm trying to figure out, is were or are. Like, are you still popping in regularly, or is it like, you know, it's kind of wound down now? Like, it's fine either way. I'm just trying to gauge usage, because I imagine a lot of people did where, like, to be very honest, I was really surprised at how long people get. Most times when I've known people, like creators, to spin up a server, unless they're playing it all, you know, all the time, like, usually servers tend to only last, like, a week or two after the creator hasn't been, like, actively on there, before they're, like, just everyone stops playing. So I was genuinely surprised when it was, like, three, almost 4 weeks later, and there was still quite a thing. Yeah, really, the hard part is you can't really play during work hours because you can't pause. Yeah, well, that's always been the problem with Project Zomboid specifically, because like death is punishing, and we did have mods to help with that a bit. The journal, but it still means when you're like working, or if you know you got the kids home and you have to be ready to respond to whatever they got going. Like, if you're not like just able to focus on playing the game, it can be hard to play, and that's a Project Zomboid specific issue. And that's actually true of other games too. Like round-based games, sometimes they work okay because you can finish out like the last 2-3 minutes of the round and be like, hey, I need 5 minutes to deal with this or whatever. Or hey, I got a duck because it's gonna take an hour, and that can be pretty okay. But if your job requires you to respond immediately, then they don't work as well. Then there's some games where you can pop in and out. There's no, like, Minecraft is one that's like a lot friendlier where it doesn't matter because you don't have to care about pausing. You just pop in and out easily. So it can keep converting you. But yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons I don't end up playing nearly as much Project Zomboid multiplayer is, like when I'm streaming, I do have to pause and do stuff, and like there's distractions and all that. And in multiplayer, I can just, you know, I have to like, if it's gonna be more than a couple minutes, I need to like log out to keep doing stuff, or I have to like run back to a place where I can hide in a closet or whatever. Whereas with single player, I just, you know, hit a button to pause the game and deal with whatever I gotta deal with. Same with RimWorld is a good one, because when I gotta do something, it's like, oh, game's paused. So that's one of the big things of why I tend to play a lot more single-player games, is as a creator, it's much easier to deal with it. So far as, like, making sure you recognize raids and subs and all that. People have probably noticed the times that I have played multiplayer games. It very really becomes a much difficult juggle, because you're juggling, you know, you and the other creators' interactions, or other people's interactions. If it is another creator, the interactions being mindful of your audience and their audience as well, and then actually trying to balance, you know, engaging your audience. And so it takes a job that is already a thing where I have to juggle like 30 different inputs at all time, and it's adding even more inputs I have to juggle. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just, it gets to be a lot to handle. Okay, so you got a bunch of range stuff here. You got some range stuff there, so you got a mix of stuff. There's a pretty good number of you. And it was an immediate raid? No, time to prepare. So we're gonna go to our schedule, and everyone is staying inside the safe zone. No one should be out. You found gold? Of course it's way the heck up there. Drop that back to halftime because I won't have a huge amount of time before that group can reach my defensive positions. But then also one of the reasons I don't do nearly as much oh yeah, you're just gonna have to sit that one out, Cookie. Another reason I don't do as much sorry. One of the other reasons I do quite as much in the way of multiplayer is it's just not the nature of the content I typically do on the channel, that it ends up being something that like not super everyone is into. But we do it from time to time. Like from time to time we'll pop on like some kind of multiplayer server, whatever. Alright. So we've got them all coming for the kill box. Be pretty big number of people fighting. Getting like the center to boost as many people as possible. Alright. Well, these two groups formed into one. Then we got one group that's straggling way behind the others. These are impids, so if they get close, they will breathe fire on us, which is super annoying. On the other hand, impids are not particularly durable targets. And fortunately, they're being really dumb about their approach going in here, so that works out well for me. I did use the combat boost to really improve our effectiveness, though, so... That is using a buff I only get once every couple days. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I don't want to keep this person. Oh, schedule. Oh, I have no prisons. I see. I was like, why can I not choose this? That's fine. You're a prison now. So let's have Enoch capture you. Alright, you're not gonna make it if we don't start bandaging you now. Actually, I haven't been doing any blood bags. I have no vampires. I generally don't do the blood bag thing. Hi.
Hi, I just came to give you a kissy.
Nya.
Because I love you.
Nya. That's sweet.
Yours?
Yeah, and I usually don't do like the blood bag thing or the cannibalism thing or, you know, all that. Honestly, like, we're doing something pretty bad here is I do actually have a vampire we're holding prisoner that we're using for biological science, which is pretty much about as bad as I've done normally. And I shouldn't say normally. This is about the worst thing I've done. This is actually the first time I've done it. Poor shooting, poor social together on Sentient Cookie. I have both of those separate, which means I have no reason to get them together, because there's no bonus to that I'm aware of. Alright, so capture them now so they don't bleed out. Yep, still don't do it. I generally play RimWorld as if I'm not, you know, someone who is willing to shirk any and all moral ground whatsoever for my own personal gain kind of thing. I try to play as, you know, the quote-unquote good people or whatever, which is a very relative thing to say in RimWorld. Oh, you're not a doctor? Okay, hang on a second. Doctor. Because I honestly find the game more interesting to not play as someone who is willing to, like, you know, like, you can do cannibalism, you can do, like, skin harvesting, you can do all that stuff. Well, that's the thing that's curious with Anomaly. I could see Anomaly doing a whole bunch of things that make you do all that stuff, and obviously I'm going to try all those things. And we will absolutely lean into checking all that out, because that's new and novel. My usual comment when it comes to... Okay, we've got a baby on the way. My usual comment when it comes to a lot of this stuff, there's a doctor coming, yeah, okay. With a lot of that stuff is like, when I first started playing RimWorld, you know, like having cannibalism and organ harvesting and all those memey, like, edgy things was like interesting and new, so I did a lot of it. But very quickly it lost its novelty, after which point it's just like, And then after a while you start to recognize the game is actually easier when you do all the edgy, awful things. And so it's just like, you know what? I'd rather just try and play as, like, a decent human being. Because it ends up being a little bit more interesting just in the fact that it's a lot more involved to do that. Meanwhile, let's go in here, toss the input into the machine. But yeah, you know, with like all the spooky stuff they're gonna have going on in Anomaly, we're probably going to have, like, you know, cultist/occult stuff and all that. That we're gonna do some. There's gonna be new ways you could be particularly awful. And for that matter, I'm sure the game's gonna have new ways it can be awful to you too. Disease infection on you. That is unfortunate. Go and get them in that machine real fast. All right. But that's the big thing is like healthy child. Cool. So we have another new baby in the colony. So we're going to name that baby and cue draw. And we have Kira, Liz. I always want to change the spelling. That's not the way it is. All right. So we're good there. Don't worry, good buddy. You will not die from that infection. I guarantee it. Meanwhile, feeding, urgent, never. There you go. All right. But yeah, so you definitely have our fridges, like, getting extremely stocked now. Which is lovely. We're doing all sorts of, like, mad xenotech or whatever. We're getting our throne room and bedroom all finished. We've got... Oh, Soul Atoms. Yeah, you are still... Go get your weapon. Okay, maybe we'll die to that infection. I really didn't expect it to go through that fast. But that's okay. We're gonna see if we can't prevent you from dying for that. Fire resistance, cold weakness. Interesting, interesting. I feel like you should get back in the machine. Because there is more science to be done. They might actually die from that infection before we get that done. That's okay. Yeah, so make them weak to cold but resistant to fire. And it would also... We'd have to see what actually happens break even. Let's see. Okay, but that'd be a caravan situation, which being in the mountains, the caravanning is terrible. So I'm just gonna nope out of that. Heat wave! It's a sign. You were saying something about moral? I mean, I'm experimenting with stuff. I'm not saying, like, it's relative, man. It's not my fault. The game literally made it, so I can never be friends with these. This is one of the things I hope is a mechanic that goes away. These ones that are marked hostile forever, those aren't people anymore. That's not how human beings work in any way. There isn't people predisposed to permanently be, you know, like, never able to possibly be anything but violent, awful, terrible people. That's just not the way I look at the world. And so for an entire faction to be like, no, even if you know, absolutely bury us with goodies, we will 100% still treat you like hostile. I don't care about them because it annoys me as a mechanic that literally I can give them everything they want, and for no logical sense, they continue to be like, yeah, but we're gonna murder you. And you're like, but why? Like, if I am literally giving you everything you want, you're not going to murder me, because that would be stupid. It would be really dumb if it was like, oh man, this planet's hard to live on. These people, every time we show up, they just bury us in food and wealth. well, clearly we need to go over there and kill them. It's like, well, no. Why would you do that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Now, granted, the problem is mechanically with the game is if you do go through and say, hey, but let me befriend everybody, and you actually do that, it just means you get nothing but endless mech raids all the time, which gets super obnoxious pretty fast. So I get mechanically why it works that way, but the factions here that they're like, we're just hostile. No matter what you do to make them happy, we're just hostile. Because it's a mechanic I fundamentally disagree with, I don't agree. You know, engage with it. Am I on Twitch? Yes, I am. Same username on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. Twitch is where my audience is based primarily. Alright, so let's go to you. I am hoping with a lot of the new dangers that Anomaly adds that playing where everyone can be befriended out of this whole list becomes not as broken so far as like just, you know, messing up the raids and everything like that. Penrick said, you'd be okay with diplomatic hardlines, like you can make friends with a group if you also declare war on other groups. Well, yeah, no, I would be on board with the idea that, like, let's say the Impids hate the Pigmen because reasons. That you can only be friends with one or the other. I can get behind that. That are like, no, you don't understand. Those Pigmens, they come by, they kill us. Like, we cannot be friends with their friends. Like, that is, like, if you're okay with them, you're against us. That's actually a reasonable stance. Like, it is reasonable to be like, hey, this person is actively horrible to us and is awful, and if you are their friend, you know, it means you don't care about our well-being. We can't be friends. And you'd be like, you know what? Fair. Absolutely fair. So we still need the lectern. We can actually just do this without the lectern. We got a pretty good chance of that. Befriending the Aldrich Horrors and the Archimechs. Yeah, and that's the thing. I would have it be one of those things that, like, you could befriend all of the humanoid style things, but boring festival. Excellent. Everyone's gonna love that. Like, you could befriend all of the, which RimWorld version of this? This is just the brand new Unstable branch. All the DLCs load, but the brand new Unstable branch. Anomaly won't be out for another, was it like 4 days or 5 days or whatever. But I'd be totally fine, like, if you befriend all of the humanoid things, it just escalates all of the, mechanoid and eldritch stuff. Like, that's the thing. Having multiple other entities to fight, I think makes that issue much smaller. You'd still have very few humanoids. I'm also okay with the idea of having effectively neutral humanoids that attack you. That, like, you go and you look in all these groups, and you can befriend all of them, but you would have effectively unaffiliated raider-type groups that, you know, they crash-landed, and they want to try and take your base from you kind of thing, like desperate people type thing. I would be okay with that, so you could keep humanoid attacks, but, like, the nature of the attacks, you'd have fewer and all that, and, like, different types. And just the same, if you team up with the Eldritch things, or the Mechanoids, like, whatever, make it so that is a huge negative, you know, a huge negative thing for everyone here, because you're actively helping the thing that's trying to kill them. Like, I'm absolutely down with the idea of, like, pro and con. I can choose, do I want the Wasters to hate me? Do I want the Yatkins to hate me? And or do I want the Impids to hate me? I can't make all of them happy. But I could decide, you know what? I don't like, these ones worry me the most. Let's be their friend. But in turn, it makes these two dislike me. Or it could be their friend, and then these two dislike me. Because then there's a strategy behind it. It's like, okay, do you want the people who run into your town with a bunch of grenades and explosions and guns? Do you want the ones that can run really fast and are good at melee? Or do you want the ones that breathe fire all over you to be the ones you remove from the equation? And that's actually a difficult decision. I think I would probably go with the one with the explosives, because I have had, like, really strong bases absolutely get wiped out from a really bad, you know, a really badly paced raid where they just kind of ran in and just smashed through a wrong wall or whatever. Not that I've also died to the impins 100%, just bad positioning, shot fire across my entire back line, and then you're like, oh no, as your range people just scatter in all directions, and you're just like, welp, that's gonna go ahead and wipe this whole thing. But yeah, the idea is like there's like literally nothing you can do, that there's a predisposition that no matter what you can do, all of these will always hate you. I also feel like it should be a thing in the game that right now this world map to me feels like underutilized. I would actually be okay with, you know, the world map only being like this big for all purposes, and that I could go through here and be like, you know what, I don't like this group, and go through and systematically knock down them. Like as they attack, you go back and, you know, get back at them and take down their things, and you can sort of kind of ish do that. But the caravanning mechanic is so incredibly awful in the long run. It's like really not fun to deal with. It's got just so many pain points. Have you ever tried the mod faction? If the question is mod, you can probably say no. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, usually if it's a mod that changes anything that's not like UI quality of life, the answer is like 99% chance it's no. But yeah, no, I haven't met with mod faction control. I don't have a clue what that is. I'm just not big in modding my games. It's a personal preference. I don't have enough time to keep the games running without mods. Like, literally trying to play RimWorld, we had an update, and then the game stopped working, and I had to spend hours troubleshooting it, and I still have to do that with another game. It makes factions be settled in nations, so they have their colonies' bases near each other. And have their own spaces? Gotcha. I feel like the problem with that is, while it is definitely going to be an improvement, it still depends on the caravanning mechanic. I was really, really hoping, before we knew what Anomaly was going to be, I was really hoping we were going to see significant overhaul in caravanning, because of all the mechanics in the game, caravanning is the one mechanic I'm like, I really wish you would revisit and change this. Because, like, if I wanted to right now say, let's grab, like, big fight, you know, we've got like toxic spewer over here, we know there's like 20 enemies at it, I gotta bring everyone, and I tell this whole group to caravan, it's gonna take them like 2 weeks to actually leave the map, because it'll take so long to get set up to go. They'll start having breaks and it'll just go in a rotation of not leaving the tile until either the stars finally align and they go. I choose to intervene and micro each one of them leaving little by little. And all those kind of things. But like using the mechanics the way it was is just really, really just not good. I had a run that I was just frustrated because I kept tapping to caravan. And it's like, you know what I'm gonna do? It's like, we have 16 people that are trying to caravan. We're just like, I've assigned it. Everything's on the up and up. When I started, like, all of it, everyone was in perfect shape. No one was hungry. No one was sleepy. And we didn't bring a bunch of stuff with us. It's like, we're good. Let's have them go. And I said to go. And it took us, it was something like 6 days before they finally left the map. And, like, every one of them was pissed off and angry and just not even capable of doing anything because they're so frustrated with everything not being taken care of. And it's like, but there's no reason. All I had to do was, like, pick up their food and walk to the edge of the map. And it's just, the way the AI works with caravanning is just so not great. Now, I don't have a great solution for the workaround. About the best I can come up with, which would be super abusable, is that when you tell them to caravan, like, so many of their needs get suppressed just to let it happen. Just to avoid those pain points. Or, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they go into the storage that just kind of vacuums items in. Like, do something to, like, fudge the rules of the game just to make it so it works, you know, reliably. And to be clear, when you're talking small numbers, like really small caravans, like 4 or 5 people, it works fine. I still think the mechanic needs love there too, but at least it functions. It's just, when you want to do like really big groups, kind of the way you have to deal with it is, you grab a handful of people, like 4 or 5 people, you have them go off the map, you grab 4 or 5 people, you have them go off the map, you grab 4 or 5 people, you have them go off the map, you grab 2 people, you have them go off the map, merge the groups, and then you go. But I'm like, but that shouldn't be a thing you have to deal with. Let's see. You can do it a little easier by splitting into smaller caravans with less supplies, yeah? You have to arrive at the same place together. Yeah, no, that's what the saying is. But logistically, if I want a group of 15 people to leave, I shouldn't have to, like, manually intervene and micromanage all of it. Like, micromanaging, like, who's going to stand behind what cover and who they're going to shoot. Yeah. Combat micromanage? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just the caravanning mechanic is one of those ones that I honestly feel like while you're caravanning, there should be a suppressive effect on a lot of your needs. In one way or another, just to get a lot of those pain points sorted. That they need, like, they either need to finagle something or for that matter, that I can have, like, a storage spot that, like, you know, it assigns, like, okay, put everything that needs to be caravan in the storage spot, and then it just all goes at once. Versus, you know, like, a bunch of people walking around while, like, one person's running around grabbing, you know, one thing after the other. And you're like, but why? I've got 10 people here, you know, grabbing the 100 food or whatever. Why is it just, like, 1 or 2 people grabbing all the food while everyone else just stands around? It's one of those things, if it didn't really break the way the events got managed out, I would literally go to the save file and take away every single caravanning event. It's pretty much the moment I click that world button, this to me, everything about this, once you've done past the game start, this is the weak part of the game. Like, obviously when you're choosing your tiles and all that, that's fine. And I do actually like the idea of what this is trying to do. I would like them to get this to be good. But the caravanning mechanic in its current form, you are very much forcing it to work because it doesn't want to work itself. Again, small groups are fine. 4 or 5 people, no problem. They usually, like, outside of extreme situations, they usually walk right off the map, you're good to go. But the moment you get, like, a sizable force you want to send for any reason, not a good time. Which is one reasons why people are asking, like, would I be interested in, like, a run where I raided our people's settlements? It's like, not really, because that's the exact kind of thing that requires me to actually throw a sizable force at someone. That was, the run we did that is we had a vote, and I did the Ship to the Stars run. And if we started here, as well as things, I had, like, a giant lake here, and then my Ship to the Stars was all the way on, like, the other side. So I ended up effectively going, like, 2/3 the way around the globe because I had to get around a giant lake to get to it. And I got to the last caravan, and that was about the point I was just fed up with the caravanning. Because, like, is every single time it was, like, pulling teeth just getting my people to leave. Which the entire way you do the Ship to the Stars, you start in your first base, you get all of your supplies and everything ready, so you can just, like, beeline all the way across the world. And I think we were on Ice Sheet, so I went to, like, just in the Boreal Forest, just before the Ice Sheet, to try and get, like, my last big stockpile of supplies, to then not even, like, go in there to do a bunch of stuff, just to get to the Ice Sheet, and be like, alright, let's just set up and go. Like, I didn't want to actually do any base building there, I just wanted to, I just wanted to be able to go to that tile and immediately be sort of, I think that'll do it. I'm hoping so. Yeah, you can see them doing a Nomads DLC. Right. I'd be down with them setting, like, thematically a reason for us to caravan. Because that was before we knew it was Anomaly, it was going to be spooky tentacle things and all that. We saw what it looked like, the relics and all that. We're like, oh, they're going to do more with the ancient dangers. So we're going to, like, go to ancient ruins and, you know, pop into them and grab them. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be very caravanning dependent. cool, we can get, this could be their chance to rework Caravan. And then it became the Eldritch nonsense. And we still don't know. It might have heavy Caravanning in it as well. We haven't played yet. But, it as well as things like, oh, well, that's definitely not what I thought it was. I'm not unhappy with it. I think it's a good move for him. It's just, everyone trying to guess what the next update was when we had the one image teaser. Alright, so we got prisoners. No. The storyteller teaser? Yeah, because the relic she's holding... Sorry, the square she's holding. Yeah, people saying, oh, it's a gold bar or gold whatever in the game and all that. But no, there's a distinct relic in the game that is a gold cube. So when you actually go to your ideology, like right here, you've got your relics. One of your relic options is literally just a gold cube. So it's like, okay, very clearly that's the gold cube. You knew right from the start? Well, I was expecting, like, Eldritch nonsense, but my thought it was going to be a thing where you'd relic dive, you'd get your relics, and it'd have some new relic mechanic that you'd use that instead of just being a thing you shove on a shelf and then you're like, people come by and they go, ooh, and then they give you stuff. I was like, okay, you get this gold cube and you can use it for, like, ritual magic or whatever, but, like, certain ritual magic has not so desirable side effects. Practices making the lament configuration. Yeah, no, it was like I was actually stating as like what I would love to see is that you would get these relics and you'd have like an alternative way to resurrect your pawn. So you can get this relic. It's easier to acquire than a mech resurrection serum. Like you can like more deterministically get it or whatever. It's higher odds, doesn't matter, and you could use it, but they don't really come back quite as they would normally. And that by doing so, you'd also be introducing not great things into your world. So it'd be one of those things that you could do these really powerful effects, but there's not necessarily all good news with it. Starflight sensors, and then you'd have like a bunch of other things, like. Maybe you could use this cube and it makes the world a little bit warmer. Maybe you could use this cube and it makes the animals more abundant. Yeah, and that's the thing, is we don't know what's in there. But I was really hoping we would have mechanics that would have more of a global thing. So you have like, for example, we have the xenotype is based around your colonists. The ideology to a certain extent is based around your colony. Yes, it's based on your colonists, but ultimately once you get enough of them, it becomes a colony issue. And then I wanted the relics to be the global issue thing, that you effectively manipulate like the odds of things in the world, that you could use like this one and the mech, like the mechs become more and more of an issue, and you use this other one, and instead like the hives become more of an issue, like the infestations and all that. Like, you do stuff to affect the game state. Alright, exotic trade goods. Let's have a talk to them. Alright, so we got a bunch of alpacas again, so if we need to, we can deal with that. We got some Sati to spare, so let's go ahead and drop some of that off. I don't want you to take the loot that. Hyper aggressive, no thanks. Never sleep. Want, need, give. Gene pack. So they'd be permanently unhappy, but they would never develop stuff like bad back or anything like that. That is really strong, but also no. We can grab all that. Normal quality sculptures. They'll be sad, Neil. Basically. I can't afford the cataphract armor stuff. I do need more plasteel, but that would be absolutely horrifically expensive. Oh, right, I have Glitter World. It's just not in that room where we're pulling this from. Let's go ahead and get rid of the extra alpaca. Yeah, can't quite make that one work. So Never Sleep is really good. That's what I'm going to go with. Alright, so... Paul. Bank. And Hall, so they don't rot out in the rain. Alright, so we got ourselves some more books for the ever-growing collection. Okay, Trotter Hands, I believe, negatively impact manipulation. Yeah, they penalize manipulation. So that's a bit of a tricky one, because manipulation affects so many things. So it's kind of a harder... Actually, cancel that. Because we can go over here and say... Conversion ritual. Come on. Masterpiece ritual, whatever. Really convince them. So I get this done and get us all onto the same page. Nope, we have just made them more confident in their ideology. Excellent. Perfect. Just what we needed. That's fine. They're just being a pain getting converted. It's whatever. Groot's Twig. Doing our age reversal in there. Okay. And if I was going to go to Illicit NZ, they do crafting, mining, and intellectual. So let's see what we could do with that. So cooking we can make them bad at. Social we can make them bad at. We can give them mild UV. The psychic suppressant. So this is so hard because Never Sleep is amazingly powerful. Like, Never Sleep is really good. But that is -6. So right now, that's even. So if I want to, like, very fast, robust, whatever, like, literally we max out where it's like, I can't let you do that. So I would love to make him Never Sleep, but that's just not going to happen. So super fast healing, robust, and elongated fingers is what I think you're going to ultimately give them in the long run. So we're making them more durable? I don't know. Hey, Devlin, how's it going? I need more negatives. I need bad at melee. Bad at melee would be a really good one. Like, just really, really terrible melee stat. Because I could give that to all of our ranged people. It's a really good negative. And we wouldn't have to worry about it. Because then I can just give that to my ranged people. Meanwhile... Hey, Boyle. Get in. Get in there. It's time to get more genes out of you. And stop giving me the spike. You've got good Arco genes, or whatever you want to call them. Also, would you please bank that? I don't know if I use it. but I'm definitely not going to use it if it rots away out on the floor. Alright, so I want to see what we get out of this. Alright, 1 second. Actually, Mad Muffalo. You're carrying the baby. That's fine. You spent a few hours playing Pacific Drive and now you're taking a small break. Yeah, that's one I've definitely considered giving another try on the channel. Because I enjoy it. I haven't had a chance to go back to it in a while, unfortunately. There's too many games, chat. There's too many games, and it makes it hard to choose any of them. Oh! Cracked, snapple, pop. All the parts of the body making noises. There really is. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that, like, I know I mention it a lot because it's just on my mind a lot. It's like deciding the other games to play on the channel is just... There's like a indecision paralysis kind of thing. Yeah, never sleep on a crafter mine is great. Never sleep on almost anyone is great. Like, whether they're farming or anything. Like, literally being able to just work 24/7 without stops, just getting everything done all the time. It's almost like you have a pawn, and it's like getting another, like, pawn and... Like, it's having, like, one pawn becomes effectively a pawn and a half because you just eliminated the downtime they have sleeping. So it can be incredibly powerful. But at the same time, giving up stuff like super fast healing, robust, very fast runner, yada yada. That's one of the nice things about the Xenotype thing. Is there's so many amazing things and you just can't have them all. And they do really make you go, which one do I want more? Because so many other decisions in RimWorld, you'd be like, well, this is better than that one. Okay, well, what about this? No, this is better than that one. The hunger rate seems to be a bit much, though. Okay, so we got attractive. Okay, I mean, that's not super terrible, but also I probably won't use it. I need negatives. Hey, buddy Bahalski. I need Tinder Skin, Pyrophobia. Those would be good wins. I already have that one. Those are your big negatives. I don't really want the Hemogen thing because it does give you +6 for the Hemogen drain, which is really good, but also ridiculous. And most of these don't actually have problems. Growth moment for FG. Okay, so this is FG's first growth moment. We're going to have them be able to do medical. I am going to give them kind, because I can always use more people who have kind set. I'm going to make you doing the mining stuff, and you'll be intellectual as well, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead and get all these things set on you real fast. Okay. Do you have the Gene Ripper mod? No, I run basically no mods. Generally speaking, I pretty much run no mods almost all the time. Like, other than quality of life and that kind of stuff. Alright, bear with me, chat. I need to grab myself a new drink and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to take a minute to quickly, get up, stretch my legs, do all that kind of stuff, and I will be back in just a minute. So thank you again for tuning in, and I'll be back here in just a minute. I also noticed it's like right about to be time for us to hit an ad, so it's a good time for me to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back here in just a minute. So thank you again for tuning in. But I could absolutely put myself in a hurt locker with how much spicy I'm into. Like, one of my favorite flavors is habanero. Like, I think I have genuinely somewhere in the area of like 12 or 14 bottles of different types of habanero hot sauce in the house. I don't have a problem, you have a problem. I can quit anytime for a very long time. It's the classic of, you can do first aid to make it so you can spend like less time limping around, but then you have to limp around because you've been doing first aid. Kind of defeating the entire point. What did it say, add a spice? Oh, it's because there's tomato paste in the back of the truck in front of me. Okay. I was like, wait, what? Venus is death? And by that I mean Venus is not dead. I didn't say early game spears are made of glass. That's being insulting to the durability of glass. Because it's just the question of when you actually go up to the building and those ones spawn in, how... Oh, ho, ho, ho. I missed that stab, and then I hit the wrong button. Instead of backing away, I scraped. Luckily we pushed. That was a fat finger key. Those are the kind of deaths that would actually feel... All right. Do you have bean bags? I have a beanbag chair in the house, but like bean bags, like just bean bags? No, that's a random thing. All right, so what's going to end up happening, chat, is we are at about that time during the stream where I do switch games. For those new to the channel, I do about half my stream one game and half the stream the other game. So usually what I'll do is yeah, not random. Oh yeah, now there's one in the corner. It's not orange like that one, but yeah, no, I do have one. It was actually from my previous office where I worked. And when they closed the location, like, you know, everything had to go, and we were having like bids and drawing and all that for like who would take what. Like, we didn't have to pay for it or whatever, but like, you know, it's like, okay, who wants a TV, who wants a this, who wants a that, because like otherwise it's gonna go in the trash. So beanbag chair, I took one of the beanbag chairs. But what's going to end up happening is we're going to have a poll to see what game we are playing next. It is the thing I do on the channel. That way I'm not playing just one game all the time, because then I'll just burn out no matter what a game it is. So I do switch about halfway through the stream to play a different game. So what I am going to have to figure out, though, is what the heck I'm putting on the list. Because I want to not just play more Kenshi. I have started to notice, like, the viewership of Kenshi on the channel, while it's not dropped a lot, it is kind of starting to, like, gradually wane down. And I need to figure out something else to be on the channel. So what are we doing now? So I'm trying to find some other things. I'm trying to, like, not just put Kenshi on there, because it's just been hopping back and forth between Kenshi and RimWorld. And it is one of those things like, no, I can't do that forever. Because like I said, it is like we were getting almost 100 people pretty much every time we're playing Kenshi, and then it started being like 90 people, and then it started being 80 people, and now we're starting to be like 70 people. You get the idea. The trend just keeps going down. And that's with Kenshi specifically. Like the other night, the moment I switched off Kenshi, you know, within an hour we were back up to like 90, which tells me it's like, oh, people are burning on Kenshi. Zomboid, no, I'm still burnt out in Zomboid. I know I played on the server a little bit, and then I played a little bit offline, and I was already burning out again. I've got like 3,500 hours in the game in the last 2 years. I'm going to probably not play almost any Zomboid until build 42. Like, when they announce build 42, I'll probably poke into it. But yeah, so I'm trying to avoid just RimWorld, Zomboid, Kenshi, and just like doing that in loop. Because I'll burn out on all those games. Every last one of those games, I will just be burnt out. Oh, I see. I can't have... I'm trying to move screens around so I can see all the things while I try and do the poll, because the poll covers up chat. So I have to, like, look at... Why was I typing Ghost? I don't even know what a game there is. Going medieval. Let's see what other games I could potentially put on the list for consideration. So we can see, like, where we go with that. Because, like, that's been, like, the whole thing right now. Because we were actually going to start this stream with Sons of Valhalla, which is a newish game that just came out. And I ran into that same problem where my mouse cursor wouldn't appear in the game, but would appear on stream. And I gotta go and just like uninstall, reinstall video drivers or something to see if I can't get that to work, because that's now the second game that's happened. I'll put Enshrouded on there. I'll put Pacific Drive on there. And one more. Yeah, because it's very genuinely like I've been kind of like burning out playing those same games as well. Like not burning out in RimWorld. It's I know I'm gonna be playing a ton of RimWorld in like 5-6 days when the DLC drops. I'm gonna be playing a crap ton of it. So honestly, today I hadn't planned to play RimWorld. It's just my plan fell apart because the game didn't run. So I had to like last minute be like, oh crap, what am I doing? Because like I had actually started stream with it and everything, and then the mouse didn't show up. I was like, oh, I have to pivot. You know, I can't play the game in this state. And I really want to tone down the amount of Kenshi, because like I said, the last stream, it's like the viewership wasn't bad. It was still good, but it's very much been trending down. Like for the channel, this isn't talking Twitch entirely. It already slammed to the ground in Twitch entirely, but on the channel, it's definitely people are tuning in less and less. Alright, so I've got Farming Simulator, I've got Going Medieval, I've got Enshroud, I've got Pacific Drive. I'm looking for one more game to consider for the list. Obviously, I do need to own the game, so where we do get a lot of good games called out, I just happen to not own a lot of them. Like, I know there was, like, Open Human or something like that. I don't own that game. And then there's a lot of games that get suggested that are just not even remotely in any, like, they're not even near any of the genres I normally play. And while it is fun to like occasionally dip my toe outside the genres, it is one of those things that usually comes to the detriment of viewership on the channel. Used to be human? I have no idea. It's something that, from my understanding, is closed beta, so it doesn't matter anyways, because I'm not in the closed beta. Yeah, it's a shame, like, some of the other games I saw were like logistics games that got updated, but those have all done. Once Human, yeah. So I don't have that or whatever. We did Supermarket Simulator, that was interesting. Timberborn? I could put that on the list. We'd probably pick up where we left off on the other map. That's not a terrible idea. Alright, so let me go ahead and just do that so we have some going. Alright, so what we've got on the poll is we have Farming Simulator 22. If that wins, we've got the Survivor Man Challenge. And the Survivor Man Challenge, you know, we start with $0 a dream and a chainsaw, and we've been building up from there. If we do Going Medieval, we will be picking up where we left off on the run we started the other day, and we'd see where that's going. If Enshrouded, that is a survival crafter style game. Pacific Drive, that is kind of a story based. It is a extraction game. I didn't leave points on, right? Yeah, okay. So those are all like, it's just all the votes happened at one time. It's like, okay, those are like actually votes, right? Because that happened the other day that we actually had points turned on and the vote got very broken, so I had to go and literally just cancel the vote and restart the vote. But yeah. And then Timberborn, we would probably continue where I was setting up like a whole big thing as well. Pacific Drive is like a resource extractions type game where you drive your car. There's all sorts of like weird phenomena going on. It's not a horror game, but it does have like weird, spooky kind of things going on. Like it's definitely not like a scary horror kind of style game. But you sit there and you grind stuff away and you sit there and do that. Let's see, you seem to constantly always want to have 3 votes. Yeah, that's not surprising. That's not surprising. And then, yeah, then we have Timberborn. So that's all the games. So basically you've got simulation game, you've got kind of a colony builder sort of game, you've got a survival crafter, you've got an extraction crafter, and then you've got a city builder. That's the different types of games we got going on here. Yeah, so they so I believe X4 just had a major update recently. I haven't tried much in the way of like the grand scale strategy / space sim kind of games on the channel. I don't think they'd do well, because that feels like it falls well outside. Like, I also, like, for example, I don't think Stellaris would do well on the channel. That one, Stellaris is a maybe. But I don't think it would do well on the channel. Like, I don't play a lot of what I would refer to as strategy games. On Twitch. I'm not against that, but I haven't been playing much of them at all. Yeah, you do feel like the pacing for the X Games is pretty niche. Yeah, the X Games take a while to get things moving, unfortunately. The recent public beta is very nice. That's good to hear. I have all of the achievements in X3 Terran Conflict, with the only exception of the permadeath run achievement, because that game is not stable enough. Because the way their permadeath works is when you open your save file, it deletes a save file from your hard drive. So it just makes it a little bit more complicated to cheat it. It makes it you have to, like, exit your save file, back up your save, and then enter your save file if you want to, you know, ensure it doesn't get killed from crashing. But what does mean is anytime the game crashes while you're playing, it's treated the same as if you died. And so it's just one of those things that very genuinely, I tried to do that a number of times, and I got to the point where I started backing up my save. Like, I'd still let myself, if I died, like, I'd still honor it or whatever. But it's just not a stable enough game for it to treat permadeath in that manner. Like, it'd be cool if it did have the stability to do that, but it just didn't. Like, you'd have a play session, and usually within a play session you have at least 1 or 2 crashes. Yeah, so it's looking like going medieval unless anything changes. And I do understand for people who are like, but I really just wanted to see RimWorld. I didn't want to see these other games. I understand there's people who have a lot of people who they have their game or games that they want to see and they're not interested in watching other things. That's totally fine. That's absolutely valid and fair. Don't worry, RimWorld will definitely be coming back. I would fully expect, if you don't see it sooner, when the DLC drops, you're going to see me playing a bunch of RimWorld. It is one of the games I played in the channel more than any other game. So there's that whole side of things. But I am partially feeling like I don't want to spend the next whole week playing tons of RimWorld just to, you know, play more RimWorld. I love RimWorld, but I am very much a variety streamer by intention, because there's not a game in existence I could play for tens of thousands of hours and not be burnt out on. Alright, so it looks like it's going to be going medieval unless we have a last second upset. So we'll do that. So bear with me. For those over on TikTok and YouTube, the stream will be ending for TikTok and YouTube because I can't change categories over there and make it work in a meaningful way, so those will go down and then come back up. For all of you over here on Twitch, don't worry, we're just going to do the regular Switch categories and that'll be fine. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on TikTok and YouTube. And let me get everything switched over now.